If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
Right, come on, you four-eyed fat-faced fool. Tell us what's going to be in the new podcast from the Two Mics.
Well, plenty of buffoonery from you and lots of sense from me. What else? Hard, sparse grass.
To get onto ITV Player, you have to go through answering all these questions. I got them all right, and all of a sudden,
What are you
bang,
talking
it
about?
worked.
Answer what question?
Well, like, what's your password and all this kind of stuff. What's wrong with you? What's your problem? A fat bore with an inflated opinion of himself. Now,
That's pretty good coming from you. This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics. Welcome to yet another absolutely out-of-this-world show, because we're not just going to be doing the Euro qualifiers, we're not just going to be going around the world, we're going to be going out of this world in this one as well. It's time to say a very good morning intergalactically to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
yeah, good morning, Mike. You're absolutely right. Funny you should say that, you know, but we must be. There must be something interstellar about our brains, to be honest.
There
because,
must be. People have said that in the past.
Yes. No, funny enough, today I was looking at one of my books from one of my scientific journals.
Oh, yeah.
There's a guy called Malcolm Robinson, right, and he's been tracing UFOs for 30 years.
Yeah.
And he's got some fascinating tales of meeting aliens and this sort of thing.
Really?
But we'll talk about that a bit
Yeah, we
later
will,
in the show.
Yeah, we're going to be
what I
talking
want
about
to
a lot
talk to
later
you as we kick off, apart from the fact that this is a very, very interesting story about Harry Redknapp having a go at Liverpool.
Well, I don't know why he's doing it. I don't understand. I mean, is this man more
because
deluded?
he lives in a free country and he's allowed to say what he wants.
Well, he is allowed to say what he wants, but,
Yeah.
you know, I'm drawn to two back-page headlines this morning.
Yes.
One is the Harry Redknapp one, in which on the back of the Mirror he says, basically, Liverpool have their worst side in years, they miss characters, they're lucky to have a point in the Premier League, they are bang average, right? Yeah. The other one is Roy Hodgson, who's busy telling the players of England, before their game against the mighty San Marino at the weekend, right, live on TalkSport, that we have the quality, as England, to win the Euros.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, which one of these two men is more deluded?
What do you expect him to tell England?
Well,
don't worry,
him...
boys. Don't worry about it. San Marino will be a pushover, but after that, you know, when we get to the finals, we got no chance.
Well, why
do you expect him to say that?
What
kind of psychology do you practice?
Well, why does he tell the truth? He said, remember what happened in Brazil? You know, we went to Brazil thinking that we would get out of the group. However, we didn't win a game, and we came home after losing the first two games. We were already out. So, you know, let's be realistic. You know, is Roy Hodgson more deluded, or is Harry Redknapp? I mean, Harry Redknapp has not been working in football for many, many years, right? What has it got to do with him?
many years.
What has it got to do? 2 years is a long time in football. If a week is a long time in politics, 2 years is a long time in football.
Do you know where I think you should make the contrast?
What?
But of course, this wouldn't occur to you.
Go on, then.
Wouldn't occur to you because your brain's not wired this way.
Go on, then.
Harry Redknapp.
I'm glad my brain isn't wide like yours.
No, well, it's not. Well, I'm glad your brain's not wired like mine, because if it was, I'd be mentally deficient.
Would you?
Now then, what I was going to say is Harry Redknapp should, of course, be the England manager at the moment, and always should have been. Yes, he should.
That's
right?
Yesterday's cold potatoes.
No, it's not.
Yes,
because it's not, because if he'd been appointed at the same time as Roy Hodgson was appointed.
Well, if he's so brilliant, why isn't he working in football now?
He's not working in football now because he chose to withdraw from the job at QPR.
Yeah, because of his knees.
A dodgy knee.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
His knees seem to be all right now.
Oh, what are you insinuating?
His knees
there?
seem to be fine. They've recovered very well.
So what are you insinuating?
I'm insinuating nothing at all.
You're trying to make out that Harry Redknapp didn't have a dodgy knee.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying he seems to have recovered very well. He seems to be playing golf. He seems to go to football matches.
It's a smarmy.
No.
It's a smarmy.
No.
Underhanded
Not at all.
hint at the fact that you think Harry used his knees as an excuse to quit QPR.
That's not what I'm saying.
You be honest.
That is not what I'm saying.
For once in your life, be honest.
That's not what I'm saying.
For instance, by the way, when we get later in the show about your dishonesty, I've found out all about your mother's wheelchair trick, pal.
What do you mean, my mother's wheelchair trick?
I found out all about it.
Are you going to start having a go at my 91-year-old mother now?
I've got friends in the airline industry, right? And I was talking to them today. And they say when guys turn up with these wheelchairs, it's just to get to the front of the queue and get the first seats on the aeroplane.
It's a fantastic thing. I tell you what, it's amazing.
So you admit it?
No, I don't, because I don't travel with my mother.
No, but you know,
my sister travels with my mother.
Yeah, it seems to run in the family.
No, so if she is in charge of my mother, and she has a wheelchair at the airport, she's the one that benefits, not me. I don't benefit.
Oh, I see.
I have to wait in a queue with all the other.
Well, I'd say like brother, like sister. So your mother, so your sister arrives at an airport. The first thing she does is help my elderly mother. Help me. Where's the wheelchair? Where's the wheelchair?
She arranges for the wheelchair.
Then you get the
before
wheelchair.
she flies.
But you've told me already this week, your mother doesn't actually need a wheelchair.
Well, she needs
doesn't
a wheelchair.
actually need a wheelchair.
No, well, she would need a wheelchair in an airport. She would need a wheelchair anywhere where people have to walk a long
sister,
way.
My
mother is 91, right? You've already disgraced yourself by having a go at my father, who's dead, right?
I don't think so.
And by calling him mad.
Well, we all knew he was off his rocker.
You're now having a go at my mother, who's still alive.
I'm not.
And who, by the way, is a bit of a soft spot for you. If she finds out that you're having a go at her,
I'm having a go.
She will come next time she comes over and she'll give you a good slap.
I'm not having a go at all, mate. What I'm saying is, it seems to run in the old Graham family. By the way,
I've got to tell you, I got a message today from Mickey Brennan, our old mate in Costa Rica, right?
Old Mickey,
and he showed me a picture of inside of his house in Costa Rica, pride of place above the fireplace in his living room in Costa Rica, one of Archie's paintings.
Really? One of your father's paintings?
Absolutely.
Well, I told you, I've got a couple of your father's paintings.
You panned them off to some Egyptian doctor and put them in some rented squalor, flat that you've rented out.
Hang on.
You told me that you put them in some kind of, horrendous...
I didn't say anything about horrendous.
Flat.
I have a rented flat in which there are 2 paintings on the wall, amongst other paintings, because I have a cultural taste, amongst other paintings.
Are they originals?
They'd be originals as well.
No, they're not.
And 2 of them just happen to be your father's, one of which is a painting of women on the beach, which is a painting of your mother.
Yeah.
But it doesn't like your mother because it's...
well, why have you put that in some foreign place where you can't see it?
Well, there's not enough room on my walls in the places I live for all the...
so many self-portraits?
No. Very valuable football memorabilia. And by the way, I'll tell you later on in the show about a terrible thing that's happened to me at my penthouse block, because one of the ceilings has collapsed.
Well, you told us about that yesterday. What's happened? What's the latest? Well, you forgot about that already?
Yeah, I had forgotten about it,
God.
Well, they've got a tarpaulin over the roof now. It looks ridiculous. A tarpaulin.
Tarpaulin?
Tarpaulin, that's it. Yeah, tarpaulin. To keep the...
tarpaulin?
To keep the rain out. But listen, I'm not having a go...
leaking into your lavish penthouse.
Well, it's not into mine, obviously, but, it's another part of the building.
Oh, dear.
But, no, I mean...
I put it to you, all right? Why don't you just answer this simple question?
Right.
Who, in your view, is more deluded? Harry Redknapp, having a go at Liverpool, which is none of his business, and Roy Hodgson, who thinks that England can win the Euros?
I don't think either of them are deluded. I think it's right that Roy Hodgson tries to lift and boost the morale of the squad by saying we can win it. Well, he's got to say that. I also think it's absolutely right for Harry Redknapp to speak his mind on the issues which he thinks are important to football. Harry is a through and through a football man. And if he chooses to express an opinion, I'm on his side.
Well, listen,
I wish he was still in football.
I've got a great deal of time for Harry Redknapp.
I say football's the loser because Harry's not a manager anymore. That's what I say.
You may say that. I have got a great deal of time for Harry Redknapp. I'm very interested in what he has to say about QPR. I'm very interested in what he has to say about West Ham. Very interested in what he has to say about Daniel Levy and Tottenham and how all of that works and any club that he's been associated with. What I'm not really interested in hearing about is his view of Liverpool. It might as well be your view of Liverpool or my view of Liverpool. We know nothing about Liverpool.
Your view of Liverpool doesn't rate at all. You don't come from the part of the world. You were a part-time fan of Liverpool for about 4 years and aren't anymore and haven't been for the last 40 years. So you're a derisory joke in terms of the support
why don't you just
go
for the full house? You've insulted me. You've insulted my mother. You've insulted my father.
Definitely.
My sister. Why don't you go after my kids now?
I suppose I've insulted your sister because she's the one who has spotted.
Absolutely
because
shocking.
She's spotted the trick. I'll tell Mum to stumble a bit as we get to the airport. Oh, where's the wheelchair, please? My mother's frail wheelchair.
Who was good enough to entertain you in a way which you should never have been used to, by the way, some years ago.
And then you get to the front of the queue because your mother's in a wheel. I'll tell you what. Next time I go flying, I'm gonna limp into the airport terminal and call for a wheelchair.
When you go flying, you've normally been carried in a stretcher after a bit of excessive bladderation in the first class lounge. Anyway, listen, never mind that.
Excuse me, is that supposed to be amusing?
It's supposed to be
it's
true.
Not.
It's true. Andrew is a Liverpool fan.
Okay.
Let's talk to him. He's not happy about Harry Redknapp either. Andrew, very good morning to you.
Well, fellas, Joe Gomez, all right, he's not a left back, but he's a good right back. He's an England under 20.
What are you talking about?
Joe Gomez.
What's he going to do? No, I'm talking about Harry Redknapp, Andrew.
Right. What he said about if you read what he said.
Yeah, I read what he said.
Yeah, but
he said Joe Gomez is not a left back. He's a right back.
Exactly. You're absolutely right there, Andrew. But the stupid man next to me.
Well, hang on.
That's what Harry said.
Yeah, I know that.
That's what Harry said.
This is not about Joe Gomez, Andrew. This is about whether Harry Redknapp has lost the plot. I think you agree with me, Andrew, that Harry Redknapp has got no business commenting on the state or otherwise, good or bad, of Liverpool.
No, he hasn't. I think this team this year is one of the best teams we've had.
Quite right.
In respect.
Well, you're in real trouble, then.
Well, James Milner's experience, you've got some good experienced players there.
Hang on, you got beaten 3-0 at home, Andrew, in your last game. 3-0 at home in your last game to a team that had lost its previous 2 home games to 2 lowly
formerly
teams.
managed by Harry Redknapp.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but what happened to Man United? They got beat.
Exactly.
Chelsea got beat. So there we go, fellas. All for one for all.
Well,
at the end of the day, Brendan Rodgers has to build this team.
Well, he's had a bit of time to do that.
Well, this is year 4, isn't it? It's year 4, Andrew.
Year
how
4.
much progress? How much progress on a scale of 1 to 10 has Brendan made in 4 years?
Well, I'm going to say 7.
No, he's gone back
7.
He's gone backwards.
Well, no, he took us into Europe.
Hang on, Andrew, you were 2 points away from winning the Premier League title. He's gone backwards. Backwards is the opposite to forwards, Andrew. You put things into reverse gear and it goes beep, 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 beep.
It's like Porky when he makes his predictions. You know what I mean, Andrew?
You what?
My point is this season.
Yeah, what is your point?
I think, top 4, I don't know about. But top 5, I think we can be up there.
Top 5?
Oh, dear me. Well, there is no top 5. There's only top 4.
Do you know, I don't think we're good enough. I really don't think we're good enough. So that's it, fellas. You know.
Okay, Andrew, we appreciate your contribution. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, incisive
debate.
With Andrew yet.
Oh, haven't you? Okay.
Andrew, don't you think that ex-managers, when they're out of the game, should keep their mouths shut about clubs that they know nothing about?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Mr. Redknapp, on your way.
Thank you very much indeed. Andrew is quite right. So he agrees with me that Harry Redknapp has got no business.
Because some chap from Lancashire.
You were about to have a go at him there, weren't you?
I was not
You
going
were
to
about to abuse him. Yes, you were.
No.
We've seen the time, by the way.
I appreciate... Oh, you only look at the time when it suits you, pal.
No, I look at the time when it's late.
Dunderhead, I'm saying that I appreciate every single person who listens to TalkSport, who rings up TalkSport, who contributes to TalkSport, who thinks about TalkSport. Don't you throw it at me.
OK. This is TalkSport, of course. He is Porky Parry. He's going to insult every single member of my family tonight. So far, it's 4 down,
well, I have already.
4 to go. You haven't got my kids yet.
Oh, no, I wouldn't touch your kids.
We are the 2 mics.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. TalkSport.
This is TalkSport. We are the 2 mics. Coming up later on tonight, of course, it's another edition of Porkyvision, the greatest TV review this side of the galaxy. We will be talking about...
There is a bit of a problem with Porkyvision this week.
Oh, is there? Why?
I haven't seen any television.
Well, how's that different from any other week?
No. Now, don't be facetious. But I have been able to garner lots of good information.
Oh, good. Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Lots of people have said, and I know that you haven't got Netflix at your disposal currently, but you should probably think about trying to get it because there's a new cartel series on about the drug lords of Colombia.
Drug lords of Colombia.
Which is called Narcos, I think it is. And it's meant to be a really, really good, dramatic series.
Like a bag of crisps.
Narcos?
Yeah.
Well, it's as in, narcotics.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, I'm not...
Does it sound like a bag of crisps?
Well, Narcos, Nando's, whatever they're called.
Nando's?
Nando's, yeah.
Well, that's not a bag of crisps, it's a chicken now.
Is it? Okay, right, okay. Well, you know what I'm talking about anyway. It sounds like something you eat,
Anyway, Narcos apparently is the new thing. It's like the new Breaking Bad, the new Sopranos.
Oh, right.
And it's all about Pablo Escobar.
Escobar, I know him.
The whole Colombian...
He's the man who escaped down the tunnel on a motorbike.
No, it's not.
Wasn't he?
No,
I thought he was.
No, Pablo Escobar was back in the 80s.
He was the guy who...
the cocaine overlords.
And his dealing in his cocaine business was in fact bigger than the gross domestic product of the country in which he lived, Colombia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Anyway, so if you get a chance to look at that would be good.
Okay, well, I might have a look at that, yeah. I did see a couple of programmes, actually. So I can talk about those.
Good.
But there are other programmes which I wasn't able to see, but I do know about.
Okay, all right. Well, we were talking about Liverpool just before
yes.
there, and the fact that Harry Redknapp has had a go at Brendan Rodgers, saying this is the worst Liverpool team he's seen in years.
Yeah.
Did you see earlier on today?
Yes.
A piece which I tweeted out about Mario Balotelli.
Unbelievable.
Who's now gone back to Italy, right?
Unbelievable.
He's playing for AC Milan.
Yeah.
And the chief executive of AC Milan, a man by the name of Adriano Galliani,
Yeah.
has apparently said Mario Balotelli is a reformed character.
I know, yeah.
Can you believe that?
Well, last night we were talking about Harvey Wallbangers, and one of the constituents is Galliano.
Yeah.
And this guy's name is Galliani. I think he's Galliani. He's been on the Galliano.
You think he's been on the Galliano?
To have said something like that.
It's not easy to say that.
No, because Balotelli will never be a reformed character.
Well, he won't.
His brain is wired to be chaotic.
Right.
It's wired to be uncooperative to anybody except his own instincts and his own self. If it feels like walking off a football pitch, he will. If it feels like not walking onto a football pitch, he won't.
Right.
And that's the way he lives his life. And I tell you what, I mean, Brendan...
Do you not think, though, that I mean, because listen to this. This is what this guy has said, right?
Yeah, go on.
He says he has an extraordinary attitude. He's changed radically. He's the first to arrive at the training centre and the last to leave.
Yes.
And it's been said, when he joined Milan, that in the contract that he signed, there were clauses which said he can't go to nightclubs,
That's right.
he can't have weird haircuts, and he can't get involved in any kind of strange antics like letting off fireworks in his apartment.
That's right.
So maybe he's realised, actually, this is the last chance saloon.
You get the feeling that the reason that Balotelli would turn up at the training complex before anybody else would be to see if there's access to any fire extinguishers he can let off or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a bit like,
that's the sort of behaviour he's really renowned for.
It's a bit like trying to kind of reform. I mean, guys that you and I used to work with...
Can I find some fireworks to...
Guys that you and I used to work with, I'm not going to name any names, right?
Yes.
But there was one famous reporter at the Daily Mirror who was a long-time kind of... what you'd have to describe as an alcoholic, quite frankly.
You're talking about Don Mackay?
No, I'm not talking about Don Mackay. I don't want to name any names. Okay?
Oh, right, okay. Not that Don's an alcoholic,
of course
but he's
not.
a very heavy drinker, very heavy social drinker.
No more than anybody else, and I'm not talking about him. Anyway.
I've seen him carried out of a few bars, including the including the National Press Club in Shoe Lane.
Well, I'm not talking about him.
Which is just off Fleet Street.
Thanks very much indeed for the detail of that.
I thought I'd let you know.
Yeah, I'm talking about another man actually, who I would rather you didn't reveal his name. They kept giving this guy different shifts, right?
Yes.
Because they thought, look, if we put him on at 8 in the morning, and he comes in at 8 and he leaves at 5, then that will be a pretty good way of stopping him from drinking.
Well, no, but of course, a lot of bars opening Fleet Street by 5 o'clock.
Well, yeah, but not only that, but I mean, he was often he'd go out at lunchtime and he'd get absolutely bladdered, and so he'd come in the afternoon incapable of doing any work.
Is this guy a reporter?
I can't tell you any more about it. All right?
Hang on, I want to know who it is.
No, we don't want to reveal it because he's still around, and I don't want to. I don't want his reputation to be tarnished in any way. And then, of course, they said, well, maybe what we should do is put him on in the afternoon, because that way he can't go out for lunch. So they would say, right, you come in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you go home at about 10.
Yes.
But of course, he would go to the pub before he came in. So then he would be bladdered before he got in.
And then he'd go to the pub at about 7 o'clock to say, I'm going to get something to eat.
Then they thought, well, here's the best way to do it. We'll get him to come in at night. So that when he comes in at 7 o'clock at night, then he won't be able to go out to the pub because, by the time the break comes on. But unfortunately, he would arrive at 7 o'clock at night bladdered.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And, it's a bit like the Mario Balotelli situation, I guess is what I'm saying, is no matter what you do with people who are prone to this kind of behaviour,
I agree.
You can't do anything about it. I mean,
agree.
how long, as you say, is it going to be before... he cracks because something happens,
of course
and he lets off a firework, or he crashes a car, or something.
Yeah, I mean, the best story about him, for me, is when he was stopped by a policeman. He had like £60,000 in cash or something in the car. And when asked why, he said, because I'm very rich.
Because I'm very rich.
Good
answer.
A very good answer, but I mean, that indicates to you the mentality with which he approaches life. Now, the other issue...
Do you think he won't be playing for Italy in the Euros, will he?
No.
Because he was I mean, do you not remember that famous goal that he scored in the last Euros, where he took his shirt off and stood there like a sort of gladiatorial pose,
I do,
showing off his incredible musculature?
It was like somebody should make a statue of him instantly or something like that.
And I thought he played very well in that tournament.
No, I don't think
it's a real shame about Balotelli couldn't hack it in the Premier League.
Talking about young men in football, right? Yeah. This situation involving Anthony Marshall, he's the 19-year-old that Manchester United have signed for 36 million. Marshall.
No, it's pronounced Martial.
Martial.
Martial, not with a th. No, that would be Spanish. Martial.
OK, 19-year-old Anthony Martial. Right. I've only discovered today he doesn't speak a word of English.
Right.
Now, this is...
Which is unfortunate for him, because you don't speak a word of French. If you ever meet him, you won't be able to have a conversation.
This is utter disaster.
Why?
Well, I'll tell you why. At 19, you still get homesick when you go away. I mean, when you went to university, right, in Bath and all that kind of stuff, you got homesick,
no,
right?
I didn't.
Yeah, of course you did.
I did not get homesick.
Of course you did. I mean, I didn't, because I...
You didn't go to university.
I have moral... Sorry?
You didn't go to university.
I went to the University of the Trent.
No, you went to Nottingham Polytechnic.
I went to what is now called the University of the Trent, okay? And I'm not going to debate it, it. Now, what I'm saying is, this poor kid is not in his own country, where he's grown up and played his football so far.
He's only across the channel.
Doesn't matter, his family aren't here. He's 19. He's got enormous pressure on him to start scoring goals because he's the most expensive teenager ever to have been bought in England.
Yeah.
And yet he doesn't speak a word of English.
I think he's the most expensive teenager ever anywhere, isn't he?
I think he is. I think you're right, yeah. Now, if it was the other way around, if it was an English youngster aged 19 going to, Paris Saint-Germain...
Pardon?
Paris Saint-Germain.
Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, Paris Saint-Germain. Okay. So if it was a 19-year-old Englishman, are you listening?
Let's think of. Yeah, I'm just looking at the back of the Times. It's got a headline that says "Families fears at crazy fee for Martial."
Exactly. Now, what I'm going to say is,
to my left, if you don't mind.
If it was a 19-year-old Englishman,
say for example, it was Ross Barkley.
I just want to finish my point.
Well, I'm just helping you out.
Okay.
Say it was Ross Barkley.
Ross Barkley's not 19.
Well, how old is he?
21.
Okay.
Right. Well, now then. But 19 is a really raw age.
Right.
So 19-year-old boy.
Can we not think of an English player that's 19 that we could make the comparison? So
Raheem Sterling.
Okay, so Raheem Sterling. Isn't he 20?
So yeah, all right. Well, he's nearer 19 than Ross Barkley.
Yeah.
So he goes over there. Now it wouldn't matter so much that he didn't speak French.
Why?
Because everybody in France speaks English.
No, they don't.
But
that's rubbish.
But the other way around, no, everybody in the world speaks English.
No, that's not
true. But the other way around, you got a 19-year-old French boy comes to England, not even London, which is very, very cosmopolitan, but to Manchester, which is, hey, by gum, put dinner in oven, love. And you know,
that's not how they speak in Manchester.
No, it's how they speak in Yorkshire, which is near Manchester.
Yeah.
But
it's about as near Manchester as Raheem Sterling is to 19.
But what I'm saying is,
I can't believe you're so insulting.
I'm not
to
insulting.
the great regions of this country.
I come from the northwest of England, so I know all about it. What I'm saying is, this 19-year-old French kid is going to a part of England where there are clear dialects. I mean,
he's playing for one of the greatest football teams in the world, right?
Yeah, but
do you not think he's going to have a translator?
No, he won't. But
he will.
Think of Coronation Street.
Yeah.
You know.
Or Rue Coronation, as it's now known.
Yeah, or whatever, and all they ever talk about is having a brew. I'll put the kettle on, we'll have a brew, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that'll be good for him then, won't it?
No, so what I'm saying is, he might as well be deaf, and he might as well be dumb. Because
that's rubbish.
No, because everything he hears around him, he won't be able to understand.
What about Memphis Depay? He's not much older. He came from Holland.
Everything he hears around him, he won't be able to understand.
Rubbish.
And he will
not. David De Gea.
And he will not be able to communicate with people around him because he can't speak any English.
It doesn't matter.
Bastian Schweinsteiger speaks more perfect English than you do.
And he probably speaks very good French, so maybe he'll become a friend of his.
Yes.
And I don't think you should have this kind of Little Englander outlook on life.
I don't have Little Englander.
Only people who speak English should be allowed to play football in this country.
I have the pragmatic view, and I'm not saying they should be allowed or shouldn't be allowed. What I'm saying is his parents should have prepared him to play football in England by making sure he had English lessons during the course of his school education. They clearly failed him, and he's now come here, and he will be swimming around, splashing around in a morass of incommunicatability.
Incommunicatability?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Galloway.
Yeah.
Now, listen to this. This is what your man Martial has said himself in a press conference. He says, I have been told since I was very young that I have the characteristics to play in England. I am in a hurry to get better and show my worth. I don't know if I'm worth 80 million euros. I'm only going for the sporting side. It is quite crazy for a player of my age, but that is the market. It is my job to show what I can do. I do not feel any particular pressure. Yeah, so there you go. He sounds like a boy with his head very much screwed on.
Yes, but he said all that in French. This is the point I'm making.
Well, so what?
He's not going to survive in this country if he can't speak English. The first thing that United should do is find him an English teacher.
Well, they probably will do.
And he should do 3 hours a day training and 2 hours a day learning English. The sooner he learns English, the better, because I feel he is extremely vulnerable to all sorts of pressures and bullies by not being able to defend himself by speaking English.
Absolute rubbish.
No, I'm right. I know these things.
Maybe you could go and help him out with some mispronunciations and see how he gets on with it.
I know these things, pal. Don't you worry about it.
He is Mike Porky Parry. I'm Mike Graham. Coming up next, we're going to talk to the fabulous Rob Earnshaw, former Wales striker, looking ahead to Cyprus against Wales, which is a massive game, of course, for Wales. The Euro qualifiers getting underway tomorrow night, live right here on TalkSport. This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes, and of course there will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. A couple of tweets have come in deriding you for having to go with my family. One from O'Doyle, who says, disgraceful behaviour from Mr. Parry tonight.
Why?
Woodenhead says that verbal torrent of abuse aimed towards Mike Graham's family was a disgrace. Porky projecting his own shortcomings onto others. And Matt says, go on, MG, give old Porky the whacking he deserves. He's always having a go at you.
No. I mean, listen, all I'm trying to say is that if you try and take advantage of the system, then in a way I kind of admire you, but don't feel that you're immune to the criticism, because you taking advantage of the system, your family taking advantage of the system,
Not true.
makes other people's lives a misery. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, you're the only person who makes other people's lives a misery. Let's talk to a man who does not make other people's lives a misery, Mr. Rob Earnshaw. Played for Wales many times. I'm happy to say that live on TalkSport, we've got Cyprus-Wales tonight. We've got Georgia against Scotland on Friday. We've got the Faroe Islands against Northern Ireland later on Friday. And on Saturday, we've got San Marino.
Faroe Islands and Northern Ireland. Wow.
Yeah, and San Marino against England.
Yeah,
you say that as if you're not impressed with that fixture.
Of course I am. I think it's fantastic. Have you ever been to the Faroe Islands?
I haven't, no.
There's lots of puffins there.
Are there?
Yeah.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Why?
On the way to Iceland.
Oh, right. Why not, indeed? Anyway, big game for Wales coming up tonight. Away to Cyprus. Rob Earnshaw's here. Let's ask him, first of all, how important this game is. Rob, very good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Yeah, very well
very
indeed.
Good, Rob. Thank you for joining us.
Forgive my broadcasting partner, Mr. Parry, here, who seems to be trying to poo-poo the Faroe Islands against Northern Ireland.
No, I'm not.
Some of these countries, right, when you go and play there, Rob, and I'm sure you've played in some of these places, I don't know if you've played in Cyprus, but it can be very tough, can't it?
Oh, listen, I know all about Cyprus because we went there actually, I can't remember how long it was, maybe 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
And we thought it was going to be easy, everything like this. We turned up and then they started playing tiki-taka like they created it. Right. And they beat us 1-0. So
right.
We thought we had the better of the game, everything like this, but they beat us 1-0. So these places, especially now with football, sometimes you go to these places and you think, there's no big stars, but there's good players playing in different European teams. Right. That's what you find. So the thing is, it's difficult because, who doesn't want to have a giant killing? Right. You've got Ramsey and Bale facing you. They're going to raise their game. So it's going to be, this is the most important game for Wales now in this group.
I mean, I don't think anyone would have expected them to be top of the group at this stage. They've had a fantastic campaign, haven't they?
Oh, huge. It's unbelievable. And a big credit goes to all the players because where they are now is just literally down to them and how hard they've worked and how well they've played. It's really amazing to see.
Rob, how much do you think that Gareth Bale could be a problem for Wales in the future, as well as, of course, a tremendous asset? Wales are a one-man team, really, aren't they?
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Rubbish.
Yes, they are.
No. I disagree because you look at that team, we've got one superstar.
Yes.
But we've got a few stars.
And they are? They are?
And you look at James Collins.
Yes.
Brilliant. Great defender. I played with him. I was playing in the Premier League. Ashley Williams, another brilliant defender. You got Aaron Ramsey.
Aaron Ramsey, certainly.
Mr. Twinkle Toes himself.
Yeah.
People who contribute hugely to the team, but then Gareth takes all the praise because he's the one with the price tag.
Yes.
That's the difference.
Yes.
But that's why Wales are doing well, because Wales couldn't do well with just Gareth Bale. That's why we couldn't 2 years ago. If we remember playing against Scotland and we battling for the bottom of the group, and we go into Scotland and we won, yes, because of Gareth Bale, but we were struggling about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Now, because we're playing as a team and everybody's contributing, Gareth is always going to be the superstar because he's got that extra level that when you need a goal, when you need a bit of magic, he then produces it. Yeah. But there's other people that allow him to do that. I think that's the biggest difference now I see in this qualification.
OK, now, Rob, what is the difference between the attitude that Gareth Bale has towards playing for Wales and the attitude that Ryan Giggs used to have? Ryan Giggs came in for a lot of criticism from Welsh people sometimes for allegedly, and I stress allegedly, dodging the friendlies and maybe the less important games.
Why are you being so negative about this?
I'm not being negative. I'm trying to get to the root of the problem.
You've been very negative.
And I would really appreciate it, Mike, if you keep your gob shut when I'm talking to an experienced footballer like Mr. Earnshaw.
Rob, my apologies. He's obviously got out of bed on the wrong side today.
No worries. Listen, Ryan Giggs was a bit similar to how Gareth is with the Wales national team. He's a lot of pressure. The first name that people talk about is him. And Ryan Giggs was the same. So all the pressure was all about Ryan Giggs. It was a different time also because, let's face it, the setup of Wales back then was rubbish. It wasn't professional enough. The training wasn't good enough. The facility, everything that kind of brings a team together and sets you up the same as Man United say, it wasn't the same because you used to go away with Wales and sometimes it was a shambles.
Right.
Because just how the setup is. When you play on the field, you obviously put in the same effort, but behind the scenes, it wasn't. The setup wasn't good enough. So now,
that's a very interesting bit of insight, that, Rob. Honest to God, because of course, famously, Roy Keane once quit the Irish squad, didn't he? Because he said that the setup behind the scenes there was shambolic.
Yeah, and it can be. I mean, and it used to be. I think it's a lot better now. Just generally in football, it's a lot. The players are in a better environment now to play and go and do well now. Where before, we've had not so good managers, not so good setup before. So that's a lot of has to be said because sometimes just the 90 minutes on the pitch only gets talked about, but it's the other 23 hours or whatever that
the
you
preparation.
spend. Exactly. All of these, I don't think they were quite right when Ryan Giggs was around. He would have loved this now. He would have loved to be around now because it would be amazing. But also, Ryan Giggs. Listen, Ryan Giggs, I saw him put in some amazing performances as well. I think a lot of people sometimes say about this one game or he missed this game, game. But, Ryan Giggs I saw him. He made everybody else around him better, including myself, because his influence and how, when you see him close up and some of the things he used to do, you used to just take back and think, wow, he's affecting everybody. Everybody else, this team is better with him. So that's how we used to take it, and we knew he was a superstar. We couldn't go anywhere without him. Right. Everybody recognized him because everybody recognized him as a great player, and that's always going to be the case. I think sometimes, I don't know, with Alex Ferguson, sometimes didn't want him to play certain friendlies or whatever. Maybe sometimes it was the case, but these things happen because not everybody wanted him. Everybody wanted him to play for Man United. Everybody wanted him to play for Wales. He couldn't.
Sure. And that's one of the issues, isn't it? We're talking about preparation. Which a lot of players are not quite up to full speed, if you like, at this stage of the season. They're going to a place called Cyprus, where it's going to be very hot, where the conditions of the pitch might not be what they're used to, where maybe the dressing rooms are not quite what they're used to. How much does that affect you as a player when you turn up somewhere and it's not quite what you expect?
Obviously, I mean, you have a look at certain things and sometimes they're not up to scratch or whatever. But, at the end of the day, you always kind of go back to, okay, I think if you've got a good attitude, it only affects the people who are not kind of ready for it, who are not willing to be out there and literally think of, okay, we come in here to represent our country. And I think all of those players do that. So I don't think we've got anything really to worry about because I think whatever the pitch is and everything like that, they're going to go out and enjoy it. I think we've got a group like that. And I don't think we can complain about the pitch here, this and that. I think I don't think it will come into effect. So I don't think we've got to worry about.
Sure. Rob, and finally, tell me, what is it like when those incredibly intense, those boring through your brain eyes of Chris Coleman are focused on you and he's telling you exactly what your responsibilities are for your country?
I think you enjoy it. I think you enjoy it. I think he passes on the message. And at the end of the day, he's got to allow the players to play well.
He's a very intense man, isn't he? Very intense, expects a lot of his players,
I think at times, I don't think he's as intense as everybody thinks. I think sometimes on the side of the pitch, I think he looks it. Yeah, I don't think he's as intense as he looks. I think, I think quite behind the scenes, he's a little bit more relaxed, a little bit, I think he'll shout, to tell certain information, but I don't think he's really like a sergeant major type. I don't think he's not like that, Okay. I think the important thing is because those people are good players, but they're very good pros and grown players, you can't, you got to just let the freedom, give them the freedom, and let them just understand, listen, we give your best, but, go and play with that freedom and enjoy this pressure, what's around you and the chance to qualify, I think that's what it's got to be.
They only won 2-1 at home in this same fixture, Wales, back in October. What's your prediction for tonight?
I think it'll be similar. I think it'll definitely be tight because Cyprus is always a hard place to be. I've played there, and it's just tough. These guys will come out and they'll pass the ball and play well, and and they'll enjoy playing against the best, and there's always pressure. But I think it'll be 2-1 again. I think it'll be very tight and very tough. But I hope it's a 2-1. But for me, Wales need 4 points from these next 2 games. Definitely. I think that's they've got to aim for 6. Yeah. But if they get 4. They're in a good place.
They certainly are.
Tremendous place.
Excellent.
Rob, thank you very much indeed. Rob Earnshaw there.
By the way,
excuse me, 1 second, because I just want to.
But I'll tell you a very, very pertinent fact.
Impertinent, perhaps. 59 international caps with Wales, scoring 16 goals.
Yes.
561 games, 232 goals for club and country.
That's a terrific record, because that's nearly a goal nearly every other game. Yeah. I was going to say there's a grass shortage in Cyprus, so the pitches will be hard.
Grass shortage.
Yeah, grass shortage.
Right.
There's been a drought. There's been a drought there. Seriously, there's been a drought.
It's called summer.
No. I'm telling you, there's a grass shortage, and they had a grass seed shortage, and the pitches, So
we won't be playing on grass then.
Well, they will be, but it's sparse and it's
sparse grass,
and it's hard,
sparse grass. That's coming up
Can you take
tonight.
Anything, that I say. I despair.
This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the 2 mics. It is Porkyvision coming up a little bit later on, and slightly perturbed to hear from you, Mr. Parry, earlier that you haven't had a chance to watch anything this week. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
I've watched plenty. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, all right. Well, let me read you a few tweets on various subjects.
Okay.
You were talking about the subject of poor Mr. Martial coming to Manchester United.
Yes.
JPK says at the 2 mics, can't Manchester United hire the master of the English language? And then he goes, neuroticism, which is what you mispronounced the other night.
I didn't mispronounce it at all. All I did was I emphasised the consonants and the verbs in it so people could understand it.
Okay. Anthony says,
readily.
Has Porky been at the Red Bull tonight? He's off his rocker.
What? Well, that's a very wide, sweeping statement.
Well, I mean, you're very excitable. William says, I hope United's new players are not afraid of having the odd mouse or rat for company at Old Trafford. I think that's a reference to the mice infestation they had last season.
That's right. Yeah.
Mark says, tell that plonker Parry Morgan Schneiderlin is at United and he speaks perfect French and English, says Mark in Wrexham.
Yeah, but I mean, what does that mean then he's going to babysit this boy Marshall 24 hours a day?
Well, it's not as if he can't help Martial.
But he's a very senior professional, Schneiderlin. He's been at Southampton for God knows how many years. He's 27 years of age.
No, here's another one.
He's not going to go around babying Martial.
Here's another one. Morgan Schneiderlin says Tony will help Martial because he's French as well. Adam says, Porky's talking nonsense again, not speaking much English, hasn't done Aguero any harm up in Manchester. Aguero. And Aidan says, you could say that about any foreign player that comes to England that doesn't speak English. Utter nonsense from Porky.
No, it's not. Communication is what makes the world go round. Believe me, I know. I'm a professional communicator, so I know these things.
Yeah.
Now,
hard to believe.
Why do you think we were playing fire music there?
Fire music?
Yeah.
I didn't know we were playing fire music.
When we came back, it was Arthur Brown, Fire.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you ever remember seeing him on Top of the Pops?
Yes.
Well, what was the distinctive memory of
I mean, I seem to remember they had some ridiculous, sort of fire behind him.
We had a hat on fire.
Did he have a hat on fire?
Yeah. What do you
I seem to remember they have those ridiculous. When they would have those ribbons coming out of the stage, it looked like they were fire.
Sure.
But also they had projectors.
No.
Ridiculous fire.
No, he came on, right, and what he did was he started singing "Fire, I'll get you to burn." Then his hat burst into flames.
Oh, really?
And he had a real fire on top of his
Wasn't
hat.
that against health and safety?
Well, it wouldn't be able to do it these days.
I remember watching this when Nevermind the Buzzcocks was on. It was the very early days of Nevermind the Buzzcocks, and it was very good.
Right.
And they had Dexy's Midnight Runners on Top of the Pops singing that song.
Da 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 da. Come on, Eileen, it was called.
Come on, Eileen. Yeah. Well, they actually made a point of saying it was very good that they weren't playing that song because they were playing Jackie Wilson Said, right? Some idiot at BBC TV put a picture of Jockey Wilson.
Oh, that's right. I remember.
While they were singing it.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, we'll talk about fire in a minute. Okay?
No, I want to talk about it now.
I've got Matt on.
Good idea.
Good idea. He wants to talk about Harry Redknapp.
Good idea.
Because he believes, like you, that Harry Redknapp is right to say this about Liverpool.
There we go.
Matt, very good morning to you.
Good morning, boys. You okay?
Yeah, very good indeed.
I can't believe
that
you agree with Porky on this, Matt.
100%. Anyone that's prepared to have a pop at the Reds, I'm well behind.
So you're coming from a biased agenda then?
I'm coming from a trammier agenda. So I tell you what, talking about quotes, best quote ever from a football manager was Johnny King. Yeah. He said, "I can't promise you the world, but what I can promise you is a trip to the moon." But going back to Harry Redknapp, he's absolutely spot on. Liverpool, Brendan Rodgers has signed 24 players since he's been at the club. 13 have left. And I tell you what, I'd sooner have Harry Redknapp as England manager than Roy Hodgson.
So
you can't knock Hodgson's qualification this time round. But to be honest, England should be beating these teams. I would have Harry Redknapp as England manager.
Oh, right, so would I.
Because he's far more exciting. If you look at when he was managing Spurs,
but he wasn't very exciting at QPR, Matt, was he?
He certainly was.
If you look at Spurs, he took over Spurs when in the bottom three, and he finished in Champions League playing attractive football.
He actually made Gareth Bale, Matt. And before Harry got there and took him into Europe and he started scoring incredible goals by burning down the left, nobody had ever heard of Gareth Bale, so you're right.
He'd have you off your feet.
Yeah.
He'd have the whole England.
But
England's done to watch them in it.
Hang on, Matt, you're forgetting, right? The last couple of years that Harry Redknapp was in football management at QPR, where he was
had
completely...
bad knees.
Well, never mind his bad knees. He had more coaches than he had players. Well, and he was completely useless.
He inherited a really awkward system. Matt, as you're a Tranmere fan, tell me what is happening. Mr. Palios is your chief exec.
What?
Mr. Palios?
Yeah.
Well, the guy from the FA.
Yeah, that's right. He used to be the FA.
What's he doing there?
Well, he owns the place.
Does he?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Well, he must have had a good job at the FA then.
And obviously, you're having problems with your league status and all that sort of stuff. Matt, what's the future
How did he
hold?
get all that kind of money?
The future's really positive at the minute. The whole club is looking so much further forward. We dropped out of the Football League, which was heartbreaking. Yep. But do you know what? The positivity off the pitch, all the fans are getting behind the whole team.
Excellent.
We've had really good crowds, 5,000 crowds.
5,000?
Yeah, which is for non-league. You try and...
So you're not actually in the league, Matt?
No, they're non-league, you idiot. He just said they dropped out of the Football League. Didn't you hear? You're stupid.
So how optimistic can you be about that?
About getting back in, of course, yeah.
Well, what chance have we got of getting back in?
One for you. What came in? What was introduced the year we were elected into the Football League, and what is no longer in place? The car tax.
Oh, you took what? Tranmere?
The car tax.
Is that right? The car tax. Yeah. Well, listen, Matt. Next time you go to Prenton Park.
Matt, what are you talking about, mate?
Well, it doesn't matter. Matt, next time you go to Prenton Park, I want you to make a pilgrimage, please. 2 streets away from Prenton Park was where my father, Alan Parry, was born and brought up. His grandfather... What are you laughing at? His father...
Why are we having a pilgrimage to your dad's place?
Well, because his father...
Road, is it? Water Park Road.
It was one of them. It's parallel to Prenton Park, and his father...
Is there prison?
No. His father, Richard Parry, was Dixie Dean's best mate. Dixie Dean, of course...
So you say.
Excuse me.
Rubbish,
Dixie Dean, of course, discovered by Tranmere and then made the journey across the water to Everton, where he became the world's greatest ever scorer. Yeah, sorry about this, Matt. But, Matt, listen, it's great to hear from you. Thank you very much indeed.
Listen, Matt, good luck getting back into the Football League, man.
I wish Tranmere the best of luck in the future.
Cheers, boys.
And by the way, Matt, next time you see Mr. Palios, remind him you've been talking to me, an old friend of mine, and I wish you well. Okay.
Cheers. Take care, guys.
Ask him if Porky managed to keep any of his dalliances at the FA out of the news.
I'm not going to get into this sort of nonsense.
Why not?
Really, no. He wasn't even there when I was there. He became later.
So how do you know him then?
I advised him on things.
You advised him?
Yeah.
On what?
On issues.
Really? Well, when he was involved with what's her name? Ferrier.
No, we're not getting into that smutty sort of stuff. No, because I was the former director of communications.
I suppose there ain't time for any meetings at the FA. The amount of rogering that was going on.
Well, I mean, this is disgraceful sort of language she used to a man like Mr. Palios.
Well, are you telling me there wasn't rogering going on at the FA?
Well, it might still be happening. I don't know. There's a lot of people work there. I don't think we should be getting into this.
No, you're quite right.
I'm
quite right. I apologise. Now, what about the fire?
Let's get back to the fire.
Yeah, go on.
The reason we
had loads of tweets here, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we should hold off on the fire until we get into the next hour.
No.
Well, tell me what's the big deal with the fire? Anyway?
Well, all right, but in a minute.
Go on, tell me.
By the way, the Arthur Brown and the hat thing.
Yeah.
Being a student of history, one of the most horrible things that I ever read about relationships between the Irish and the English was that when we went over there one time to try and sort of beat them up, so to speak, despicable. Right. I mean, I hold my hands up as an Englishman.
Right.
Terrible
Repress
thing to do.
them, I think you might call it.
But we used to make them wear the pitch cap, which wasn't very pleasant. A pitch cap,
What's that?
Well, what you do is you get a load of pitch and you shape
it like tar
type stuff,
right.
and you shape it like a hat.
Right.
And then you put it on a bloke's head or somebody's head.
You mean while it's still hot?
Well, no, it's cold, but then you set fire to it.
What?
You set fire to it, and that's called the pitch cap. Oh. And then what happens is...
That's horrendous.
It is horrendous. And then all the tar runs down your face and burns all your skin and everything. It is. I agree.
Why are you bringing that into the show?
Well, because I talked to you about...
You're only happy when you're talking about this kind of horrendous torture mechanism. I mean, have you got some kind of torture fascination?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I hate torture. If I'd have been a spy during the Second World War...
Most people don't like it.
No, I'm telling you, if I'd been a spy in the Second World War, the minute that the SS told me they're going to pull my fingernails out, I'd have told them all the secrets.
Yeah, of course.
I have a terrible...
You'd have done it for a glass of Pinot Grigio, wouldn't you?
Do you know what? When I was a kid, I used to bite my nails because I saw a war film where the Germans pulled a spy's fingernails out with a pair of pliers. Yeah. So I deliberately bit my nails so that if they had a pair of pliers and I got captured...
They could still get them, by the way, with the pliers.
Well, it was even worse because then they used a chisel to get under your nails. That was, and I used to have nightmares about this. Yeah. So, no, I wouldn't stand for torture.
That's why you don't ever go abroad in case you get captured and tortured.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate. I've done a few wars abroad when I've feared ending up in a
few wars abroad.
Yeah,
how many have you done?
Well, a few.
A few. Well, more than one.
Yeah, more than one. Yeah, more
than
one.
Then. Tell us.
Well, things like
you were in a 6-day war. You were only there for a day.
No. It was longer than that. It was when Israel invaded Lebanon. Believe me, I had tanks firing shells at me.
They weren't firing them at you.
They were firing.
It's all about you.
They're firing in my.
They were fighting between the two countries. You thought they were firing at you.
They were firing in my direction. Yeah. The F-111 bombers didn't think anything of bombing me in Tripoli, in Libya, you know what I mean?
They were looking after you, though.
Hey?
How about this one from John, right?
Yeah,
a very perspicacious man has tweeted at the two mics.
Okay.
He says, Porky says all French people speak English, so surely that would mean Anthony Martial would speak English as well.
No. In France they speak English. They don't speak... Actually, I'll tell you what it is. When you go to Paris, right, and you say to somebody, oh, excuse me, do you know where the Mercure Hotel is? Non. But you know full well that Frenchman speaks English, but he's pretending not to speak English because you're English and they don't like us. And they particularly...
Well, why don't you just say, pardonnez-moi, où se trouve le Mercure Hotel?
And
why don't you say that?
They particularly don't like, while you were away, by the way, an English hero jumped on a would-be terrorist on a train in France.
Yeah, I saw that.
And now the French hate us.
I wasn't in a cave.
The French hate us because we leapt on them, and in fact they're saying they even hate us because of the Second World War and liberating them. They now hate us because we jump on the terrorists on French trains.
I thought it was two
and
American
they hate the Americans
soldiers.
even more.
Yeah, it's 2 American soldiers.
2 American soldiers and Englishmen. But the President of France gave the Légion d'honneur to an Englishman for leaping on a terrorist.
Maybe they put him up at the Mercure Hotel for the night as well.
Absolutely.
Amazing. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will, of course, be a podcast coming out a little bit later on this morning, around 7 hours from now. A couple of tweets to read out to you, Mr. Parry. And some texts as well. You can tweet us at the two mics, at Mike Parry 8, at IROMG, and you can text us on 81089. Joshua says, England football team needs Alan Pardew as manager to get anywhere in the future. Hashtag right man for the job. He may well end up being the next manager. Matt says, hard, sparse grass. I just nearly spat my tea all over my laptop when I heard that.
What?
And Sean says, I don't think my fellow Welshman will enjoy playing on that hard, sparse grass.
I didn't call it hard, sparse grass.
Yes, you did.
Well, I didn't mean the grass was hard. What I meant was the ground was hard, and because the grass is sparse. So people get the drift anyway.
Yeah, they certainly do.
I'm sure they get the drift.
How about this one from Phil?
Yeah.
He says, hi, Mike and Mike. Glad you're back. Best thing on the radio since radio. Just listening back to Winners and Losers on your podcast this week. Would like to correct Mr. Parry on Bono being the first billionaire in the music industry.
Right.
It was actually Dr. Dre, the rapper and music producer, who sold his company Beats last year to Apple for $3 billion, making him the first billionaire in the industry.
Yeah, but Dr. Dre never sort of achieved the fame as a musician and a singer that Bono did he?
Well, I mean, he's a pretty famous guy.
Yeah,
and then
but I mean,
finally,
but he's more famous for his headphones than he is for any music.
Well, he is now, but he's a billionaire anyway 3 times over. He says, also, I thought Mr. Parry had a mare in Winners and Losers anyway, and this mistake definitely confirms Mr. Graham as the deserved winner.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I'm sorry, but, I tell you what we found out, by the way, and I don't want to use the boy's name in vain, but you know, just before Winners and Losers, on what night of it this week? Tuesday morning, right?
Yeah.
Right. Guess who was in this studio just before all my research notes went missing?
Who?
Toby Nobody.
Toby Gillies.
He was reading the news. Do you not remember?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, you're right.
Thank you very much indeed.
Are you accusing him of stealing your information?
All I'm saying is there seems to be a massive coincidence here that he used to be involved in Winners and Losers, right, until we sort of revamped the structure of it, you know, to make it, like, more intellectually challenging and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You don't think that Toby thinks his nose has been pushed out of joint and nicked my research notes, do you?
Astonished.
I mean, I'm not accusing. I'm just asking.
I'd be astonished if that was the truth.
Yeah, well, it's very coincidental.
Yeah.
Now, we finally need to get around and tell the audience why we're talking about fire.
Yeah, go on, yeah.
We're talking about fire because on this day in 1666, the Great Fire of London started. Do you know how many buildings it destroyed in London, even in those days?
Well, must be thousands, right?
13,000.
Is that right?
13,000 buildings.
And actually, the buildings very close together because it stopped to the east at the Tower of London, didn't it? Because of the stone walls there.
It burnt down the first St Paul's Cathedral, by the way.
And to the west, it went as far as Smithfield, I believe.
That's right, yeah.
Sort of halfway up Fleet Street.
Now, as we all know, it started at George Farriner's bakery in Pudding Lane, OK?
Yeah, right.
Raged for 4 days. Only 8 people miraculously were killed.
That's an astonishing figure as well, isn't it? That so few people
only
actually died.
Yeah, only 8 people actually died. But the biggest issue here is that everybody thinks that it started in the bakers, and I've told you what his name was it George Farriner, right? The baker, in Pudding Lane.
Farringdon, did you say?
Farriner.
Okay.
In Pudding Lane. And everybody said, oh, well, what used to happen was, in these bakeries, all this flour was flying around all over the place all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it'd only take a spark to ignite what was really a sort of cloud of dust and flour, right? Not true. It was all down to Louis van Gaal's ancestors.
No, you've said this before,
The Dutch started the Fire of London.
You've said this before. It's a theory only.
No.
And it's never been proven.
Modern historical research almost proves.
Almost proves. Well, in other words, doesn't prove.
Unequivocally, that the Fire of London started by the Dutch, who were our enemies in those days, who were vying with the British.
So how did they start it
for control of the world's oceans?
Did they smuggle a pastry chef in?
No.
Who was related to Ho Chi Minh?
No, they had a load of spies here. And these
were they working in a bakery?
No, they were creeping around and climbing over fences and set fire to buildings.
Are you saying it didn't start in the bakery then?
Well, it may have done, but I think they did that as a cover. They thought that if we start in a bakery where there's a roaring fire all the time.
Well, why have they built the monument, that massive, sort of stone column, which you can climb up, which I have climbed up, by the way. You might remember a few years ago.
Yes, that's right. Yes, yeah.
That's why the monument is there, because everybody knows that that's where the Fire of London started.
Yeah, I know, but you don't know how it started. It didn't start by accident.
Know. It started with the buns in the oven.
No, I've read all the historical research. My view is that it was the Dutch who set fire to London.
Maybe we'll have to get an expert on to talk about it.
Well, OK, if you do, he'll back up exactly what I said. Yeah, get a Fire of London expert on.
The other good thing about the Fire of London was it destroyed the plague, didn't it?
Well, it stopped the plague. Stopped a lot of the plague. Now, the other thing is, I was... once again, the traffic in London is a nightmare. So we're talking about London, right? And getting into tonight was another nightmare because they're building the cycle superhighway. So that means that in any one road now, you've got cycle superhighway, then you've got bus lane, then you've got one lane for traffic when you should have 3.
Right.
And what it means is that for most of the day, the cycle superhighway is unused. Nobody's cycling in it. The bus lane is either empty or full of buses with nobody on them because we seem to have built all these buses for phantom sort of bus passengers who don't exist.
Right.
And
did you see that picture, by the way,
traffic
over the
is slowing down.
Of the bus that crashed into a tree?
Well, a lot of buses are crashing lately by going under low bridges and taking the top off.
This one crashed into a tree.
Why?
Because presumably the driver just managed to get it out of control.
Good
and
God.
completely smashed the thing up. I mean, I'm slightly concerned about the people driving buses around London at the moment.
Well, yeah, I would be as well. No, one thing I was going to say is I was crawling along and the vehicle...
Crawling along?
Yeah, the vehicle in front of me was one of these knackered old 50cc bikes which pizza delivery drivers use, okay?
With the box on the back.
Yeah, but do you know what the advert for the pizza company said?
What?
Our pizzas are cooked in wooden ovens.
What's wrong with that?
Well, if you put something in a wooden oven, the oven will burn down.
Well,
just like the Fire of London.
well, clearly they haven't built a business on an oven that doesn't work.
How can you have a wooden oven?
Are you sure it wasn't wood fired?
No, it said in wooden ovens. It said cooked in wooden ovens.
Really?
And I'm thinking to myself, that is a complete contradiction in terms. You can't have a wooden oven, can you?
Well, you can have a wooden oven, actually. You can have a wooden oven which is somehow lined inside with metal, couldn't you?
What's the point of building the outside of it with wood?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a wooden
oven
expert.
What I'm saying is, it's a ridiculous...
Are you sure it's not wood-fired?
Exactly what I thought to myself. There must have been wood-fired, and I don't know what difference that would make to cooking a pizza anyway.
Yeah.
But I looked again, and it said baked-in wooden ovens.
Because, I mean, you hear about stone-baked pizzas quite a lot, don't you?
Yeah, you do, yeah. I mean, that's like saying, let's go and have a shower in a shower made of paper or something like that. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
I'm going to now
contradiction in terms.
Seek guidance from some expert. Yeah, we go. Wooden oven. Here we go.
Yeah. So there is
Build your own wooden fired outdoor pizza oven.
Wooden fired.
Italian wood fired ovens.
Yeah, this doesn't say wood fired.
The wood oven warehouse you can go to.
Yeah. No.
Wide range of authentic wooden ovens. 48-hour delivery.
Yeah.
So there are such things as wooden ovens.
Well, I'd love some expert to come and explain exactly what they are. The cooking process, as far as I'm concerned, right, in an oven, is all to do with the fact that the inside of an oven is made of that stuff that doesn't burn. What's it called?
Stuff that doesn't burn?
Yeah,
metal.
No. It's
what are you talking about?
Well, it's the stuff that flame-resistant people wear. What are you looking at?
Flame-resistant people?
Yeah, they
what
got...
do you mean flame-resistant people?
Well, like marshals.
You mean asbestos?
Asbestos, that's the stuff.
Yeah, well, you're not allowed to use it anymore, are you?
Well, yeah, you are in materials and things, because those marshals at places like Formula One tracks and all that kind of stuff...
Where the flame-resistant people work.
Yeah, exactly. They do, in case they have to go and rescue a driver out of a car that's on fire or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's what the inside of ovens are sort of basically made of, so that they don't go on fire.
Right.
That's how you can have such high temperatures in them.
See, it's a bit
you don't
confusing.
know much, do you? You don't know much.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing, this, because a lot of the stuff they're selling in the so-called wood-burning pizza oven place, which also talks about real wood-fired cuisine, the wood oven warehouse, it's more about wood-fired ovens. It's burning wood.
Didn't say that.
I think you misread it.
Oven. No, I didn't misread it. When you first went to your information device to find out about wooden ovens, it said wooden ovens. It didn't say wood-fired ovens.
But I think that's what they mean.
Exactly.
Though.
Well, I don't know what they mean. I found it all very confusing.
Yeah. Now, I've got something to tell you here, because earlier in the day, one of our many admirers on Twitter sent me something called the snob test.
Oh, yes.
And he wants me to give it to you.
Oh.
The snob test. So are you willing to take the snob test coming up next?
Indeed. Absolutely. I'm not a snob, believe me. I'm man of the people. I can prove I'm the man of the people.
This is to analyse how arrogant you are. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not arrogant. I thought we were talking to some expert about UFOs on the show tonight.
Yeah, we are. We're talking to Seth Shostak, Senior Director of the Centre of SETI Research.
That's excellent, because I've just got some new research myself on this, and it's very, very interesting.
All right, well, we've got him coming up a little bit later on in the hour. Next, I'm going to give you the snob test, though.
Okay.
This is Talk Sport.
Good.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Freedom for sport. Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out, and of course, Porkyvision coming up a little bit later on in the show. A couple of tweets here. John says this: "It's the Dutch that are behind, or maybe it's the Dutch that are behind that water leak in Mike Parry's apartment building."
Well,
hashtag conspiracy theory.
I want to make it absolutely clear, I'm not pointing the finger at people. This is a very historical issue. Goes back to 1666. What a great year that must have been. And
1666?
Yeah.
What, when there was the Great Fire of London?
Well,
was it a great year?
Well,
the capital city of this country burned to the ground.
No, but I think
What's great about that?
I think the alliteration of the numbers 6, 1666, sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
666, of course, the number of the beast, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah.
And that sort of thing.
And in fact, all about Harry Redknapp. Didn't Harry recently... He was on a TV advert, wasn't he?
He was on for a gambling company.
That's right, yeah, they were all 666, funnily enough, yeah. Right, OK,
now listen, I've got this snob test for you to take, right?
OK, I'll certainly take this. I'm going to prove it once and for all.
Series of questions, so let's see how many there are. There's it goes down to 10. What I'm going to do, right, because it's one of these that I have to note the answer down, and then the computer will generate whether you are a snob or not.
Oh, I see, OK.
All right. Question number 1.
Yes.
Now, it's a multiple choice, this, right? So question number 1, first things first, must you always be right? And you can have a variety of answers where it could be no, not all the time, no, except on a bad day, yes, mostly, or yes, even when I'm completely wrong, you idiot.
The third one, yes, mostly.
Yes, mostly,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
All right, question number 2. Ignorance is bliss, yes or no?
No.
No, okay.
Ignorance is ignorance.
Okay. Question number 3. How does hearing about a friend's success make you feel? Could it be either 1, it sickens me, I want to snuff out their happiness and tell them. Second one, it sickens me, but I say nothing. Good for them, but it really doesn't do anything for me. I'm happy for them, and I help them celebrate.
I'd go to a 5th one where...
you can't have a 5th one.
Yeah, the 5th one. 5th one is...
No, you can't have a 5th one.
I admire all successful people, and it inspires me. And particularly if it's a friend, I feel then combative to match what that friend has done.
Well, there isn't a place for that.
Well, it'll have to be the 4th one.
So I'm going to go with I'm happy for them and help them celebrate.
Absolutely.
Question number 4. Who should be served first? The first in is first served, or me? See, you're already gerrymandering your own answers.
No.
Because you know your answer to this should be me. You think you should be served first wherever you go.
No, I would say first in, first served, but because I'm smarter than the average bear, I will always make sure that I'm first in.
Right, so I'm going to put me down for that one. Question number 5. When you arrive at a party, either 1, it starts, or 2, you make a loud entrance and let everybody know you are there. You look around for someone cute to meet, or you enter quietly and find your group of friends.
Normally speaking, that would be D. That would be I enter quietly. And find my group of friends.
You haven't
definitely.
got a group of friends.
Well, OK, I'll find some. Don't worry.
Right, OK. Question number 6. Diamond size. Important, not important. Not sure what that means.
Say again?
Diamond size.
So that's not a question.
Well, I suppose it means if you're buying a diamond, does it matter how big or small it is?
Let me see. Last time
Important
I
or not
bought
important?
a diamond for a young lady.
You've never bought a diamond
yes, I have.
for
Oh, yes, I have. Yeah.
For who?
I can't tell you that, I'm sorry.
Who did you buy a diamond for?
Sorry, that's too personal.
What, you mean you asked somebody to be engaged to you?
No, I can't tell you.
Did you buy
Anyway,
him a diamond ring?
I did, yeah.
What, somebody you proposed to? It must have been an engagement ring then.
It wasn't necessarily an engagement ring, but anyway, I would say...
Size is important or not?
Size is not important.
Not important, OK. Question number 7.
Yes.
Do you feel you are better than people with a lesser education than you have? Well, I know the answer to that.
Do I think I'm better than people...
You think you're better than people, just period?
No, I would say the answer to that is yes, but not just me. I think anybody who's had an education is better than somebody who hasn't had an education. Put it that way.
So I'm going to put you down for yes, very much so, rather than yes, even people with a higher education than me.
No.
I'm going to put yes, very much so, yeah.
Anyway.
Question number 8. Do you like Stifler from the American Pie series? I don't know.
Never seen it.
OK.
Don't know.
So you get a who's Stifler?
Yes, exactly.
Skip to the next question. Number 9.
Yes.
And would you ever model yourself on Stifler and his humour to become a funnier person? Well,
I don't model myself on anybody.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, I am unique.
Yes. OK. Question number 10. A black and white self-reflection opportunity. Do you feel you have been disadvantaged in some situations because you've been too humble? It's a yes or no answer. Seems unlikely.
No, I'd say yes.
You've lost opportunities.
Yes, I think so.
Because you've been too humble.
I think so.
All right, let's see what happens after I press number 10. It still goes. Number 11. Do you like polo, or have you ever played polo, or ever been to a polo match?
No.
No, I've been to a polo match.
No, I haven't.
I had to cover it. Your date arrives to pick you up in an old beaten-up car, wearing an outfit fit for a circus. Do you get the car cleaned, walk in proudly, take your car, no problem, park round the corner and sneak in the back, or cancel the date?
Park around the corner.
OK.
Yeah.
Question 13.
I did that. I've done that a couple of times.
Now, you see, I know the answer to this one. When you buy something, must you always purchase the best of the best?
If I can afford it, yeah.
Yes, I'm extravagant.
Yeah.
14. When you are out shopping or down at the mall, do you communicate with other random shoppers?
No.
Never. I ignore everyone. 15. Your son announces he's getting married to a lap dancer.
Yeah.
Are you gaining a daughter or losing a son?
I would say gaining a daughter.
OK.
Yeah.
16. When you don't get along with someone, this is usually because A, they are not in your class, B, they're always jealous of you, C, you're having a bad day, or D, it doesn't matter, people have their differences.
I'd say B. A lot of people have an envious streak in them when they see me or know me.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bit bored with this now, so
Yeah,
I'm
so am
what
I.
I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm just going to answer a few of them at random.
Right, OK.
And see how we go.
Well, let's just have can I just have the answer, the result now, please?
Yeah,
the verdict.
I'm going to get to that.
I want the verdict.
There's more questions here. This is ridiculous. This
Right.
is number 21.
I thought you told me there were only 10.
I thought there were only 10.
I've answered 17, so...
22 now.
Oh, excuse me, so far.
Right.
How many more do you want me to
That's
answer?
25 now. Kim, it's 26. Absolutely incredible. I'm saying you would rather own a Mercedes, or you'd prefer to live in an expensive house on a night out with friends. You would get somebody else to drive. One last question. We'll give you one last question, which is the last one. Finally, did you lie in this test to boost your score because you feel being arrogant and snobby holds a good status within the community?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Never. OK, right. So, finished. Let's see what it says.
Yeah.
You come up with... show me my result.
Well, come on. Let's have some sort of result.
I'm just trying to find a result.
OK.
You scored 24% arrogance, 65% snobbery, and 61% complete idiot.
Well, what a rubbish survey.
You are as snobby as they come, but compliments for not being greatly arrogant, or at least hiding your arrogance well.
Oh, well, there you go.
Image is everything for you. You must be seen in the right crowd at all times and have the best of everything. This means you can be a real idiot at times to people not in the know.
I think that's a complete...
I think that's right.
Complete not a load of rubbish.
I think that's very accurate.
Complete it's an utter load of rubbish, and I have to say that I think I've wasted a part of my life answering that ridiculous survey of yours. If that's the absolute best, if that's the absolute best you can do, then forget it. By the way,
I got one here from Tomo. Right?
Oh yeah.
He says, "I won't be texting you again. I've texted you, but you can't be bothered to read it."
Who? Me?
No, Tomo. This guy called Tomo has texted into 81089.
Well, what does his text say?
Well, his text says, "I won't be texting you again if you can't be bothered to read them."
Well, we get hundreds of texts, so I'm sorry, Tomo, that you feel offended. Please send it again. We value, and I mean this sincerely, folks. That was Huey Green, by the way. Every single one of our listeners. So please, you want to participate in the show by sending us a text, send it again, and I promise you we will consider it.
Yeah, okay. And Jason, Liverpool fan, says, "Good to have you two back. Mr. Parry, Dr. Dre is a hip-hop legend, very well known throughout the music industry the world over, with a number of triple platinum records behind him."
I think hip-hop people are, I think they've, well, not wasted lives, but lives that...
well, there's a lot of money in hip-hop.
In my view, are of little consequence.
There's an awful lot of money in hip-hop, though.
Listen, how important do you think it is to be stimulated every day of your life? Because you were telling me earlier about
stimulated in what sense?
This billionaire guy that you were telling me about, who's 36, and what was the name of that company that he flogged? Because
is this the guy who just made so much money? You're talking about the Minecraft guy?
Yeah, is that him?
Yeah, Minecraft. Yeah. Yeah, he made so much money because he sold Minecraft off to somebody like, I think it was Microsoft, didn't he?
I think so.
And that's the game that my kids play.
Is it?
And it's become this massive kind of,
And what is
obsessive.
it then?
Well, it's a little bit like Lego on a video game.
Right. You build things. Yeah.
But you don't just build buildings, you build entire sort of cities and communities. And, it's quite fascinating. It's quite creative, actually. And my kids quite like it. I mean, they don't play it now as much as they did.
Right.
But it's one of those games that everybody was playing.
So at the peak of its popularity, he flogs it, right? This guy's name, what's his name again?
I'll tell you his name in a second. He's from Sweden or somewhere, isn't he?
I thought he was an American, actually, but I mean...
Marcus Persson.
Marcus Persson.
He's 36.
And apparently he now wishes he hadn't invented it, hadn't sold it, because his life is one of sheer boredom. He wakes up in the morning and he has no stimulation in his life to do anything.
Well, I think that is one of the problems.
How many people in the world would like to be in that sort of position?
But isn't that one of the problems of being successful, though?
Well,
because if you're as successful as he was, right, he created this incredible sort of phenomenon, if you like, and then what's he going to do next?
Well,
it's a bit like in sport, if you become somebody like, say, Lewis Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
And Lewis Hamilton, wins most of the races he goes in for.
Right.
He has a pretty good chance of being the driver's champion every single year.
Yes.
Once he kind of retires, what's he going to do?
Yeah, but I know what you mean. At least every time he gets in a car, he thinks, well, it could blow up, I could lose it. There's stimulation there. But in my 4 or 5 decades of continuous success... Excuse me.
It's not quite in the same area as this guy, is it?
Excuse me, hang on.
What do you mean continued success?
Well, I've never gone backwards in life. I've always gone forwards.
Let's go we're currently in, say, the second decade of the new century, right?
Yes, that's
so
right.
What would be your success in this decade?
What, you mean apart from hitting the heights of broadcast journalism?
Yeah, apart from that.
Well, do I need anything after that?
Well,
do I need anything after that?
Well, what about the previous decade? 2000 to 2010?
A successful investor in bricks and mortar, maybe,
really?
Something like that.
90s, success in that decade?
That was conquering the world of print journalism, wasn't it?
And 80s?
The 80s, that was getting on the old greasy pole and getting up there, rapido at a young age, that sort of thing.
70s?
70s, that would have been... I suppose that would have been adapting to the changing times, like Bee Gees.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely, I can't argue that you've been remarkably successful over 50 years.
In fact, I've just read a book, actually, about the decades and all that, and almost everybody of our generation says the 80s was the best decade.
A lot of people say
because that was the...
If only I could remember them.
The one that transformed it all.
Now, this guy also says, though, one of the reasons that he's feeling kind of left out and lonely and regretful about him being so successful is that his former employees loathe him. And he's been cut off from his friends.
Why?
So there's obviously more to this story than meets the eye.
It's because he's so fabulously wealthy.
Yeah. Well, why does he share it with his former employees? Do
you remember the guy in who he made those great records like Here Comes the Rain Again?
Eh?
Here comes the rain again.
Oh, you mean the guy who suffered from Paradise Syndrome?
Yeah, exactly.
From the Tourists.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
He's
Annie Lennox's sort of musical partner, whose name escapes me.
Well, they used to be like lovers, didn't they? And then they became workmates.
He's
and all
a
that.
massively successful music producer.
Yeah, what's his name? Dave somebody. It's Dave somebody.
Stewart, yeah.
Dave Stewart. And he woke up one morning and thought, I've got everything I want in life. There's no challenges left in life. I haven't got cancer. I've got 2 great kids and all that. And he decided he was suffering from paradise syndrome, which
everything's
means
so good.
Everything's perfect. But the great fear of having paradise syndrome, because I've been there myself, to be honest, is that somebody will walk through the door and take it all off you. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, but you would worry about that, I suppose. But I don't know. I think you have to be a little bit strange.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen.
Right.
We've got to look at the time and look into the light for a moment, because coming up, we're going to speak to Seth Shostak,
Excellent.
Senior Director of the Centre for SETI Research, right?
I like this.
And he's going to tell us about UFOs and why people think they see UFOs when actually they might not be seeing them. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics, of course, and there will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. Porkyvision coming up in the next hour as well, so listen out for that. Porky's going to be reviewing all the big TV shows of the week and telling you what you should be watching, what you shouldn't be watching, even though, of course, he hasn't watched any of it himself.
Excuse me.
Why do you buy your own admission?
Oh, I've had a very busy week.
So have we all.
Collapsing ceilings and chasing around trying to save animals and all that kind of stuff. So
badger spotting.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
We'll ask you about that in a minute. Now we're going to talk to a man who very rarely in the field of UFO research actually is coming out with quite an interesting perspective on it. His name is Seth Shostak, I should say. He's the Senior Director of the Centre for SETI Research. Now, he's been saying that actually the trail on the UFO front has gone stale.
Right.
And there's no such thing. Seth, a very good morning to you.
Well, thank you very much. It's actually not morning here, but probably where you are.
Well, you know, there was a time when Ronald Reagan said it's morning in America, and it was always morning there. But I guess nowadays it's not quite so much the same with Donald Trump. Anyway, listen, I'm just reading a piece that you posted on Twitter from the Huffington Post, in which you say, one thing that strikes me about claims of alien visitation is that so much of the evidence is musty and fusty, or musty and fusty. I mean, basically you're saying that there are no UFOs, or at least most of the claims of spotting UFOs are rubbish.
Well, I personally think that. I mean, I don't think that we're being visited by aliens. I think if we were, you could go down to, I don't know, Exhibition Road into any of the museums and see elaborate displays of the evidence, and you don't see that. So, personally, I don't think that we're being visited, no.
I mean, one of the things that people always, that I always say, it sort of strikes me as odd, is that whenever you see, particularly even in this day and age, when everyone's got an iPhone and everybody's got pretty good quality cameras, you never really see any decent sort of quality video footage of any one of these UFOs spotted.
No, you don't, actually. And on those occasions where you do, they're rather suspicious looking. They're in some sense almost too good. And they're only done by, they're only seen by one person or that kind of thing. There is no good evidence. And to be honest, I get sent pictures and videos essentially every day. People call me up. They say they have great news for me because they found the aliens. After all, that's the business I'm in. It's to look for evidence of alien existence. But what we're doing is what Jodie Foster did in the movie Contact. We're trying to eavesdrop on radio signals. Right. That's a little different than expecting them in the backyard.
So, Seth, just to get this right for our millions of listeners over here in the UK, your mission in life is to disprove the theory that there is alien life out there, that there are UFOs and that there are other planets where creatures live. Is that the purpose of your existence?
Well, that would be kind of dystopian. No, that's not exactly right. Look, I think they're out there. Honestly, I do. I wouldn't keep this job otherwise. It doesn't pay that well. Yeah. But what we're trying to do is prove it not by, stepping outside and seeing a light in the sky or waiting for somebody to haul me out of my bedroom for unauthorized experiments. What we're trying to do is to use big antennas. That's what we use. We have very sophisticated equipment here. Big antennas to try and eavesdrop on signals that might be being broadcast by societies that are who knows how many light years away. Not here on Earth, over wherever they live.
But has it never occurred to us that the if there are aliens out there, if there are other forms of life or whatever you call it, they might be so sophisticated and so many thousands of years ahead of us that radio waves and all this
like Men in Black, that kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Radio waves and all this kind of stuff, disappeared with the Smithsonian, and that they communicate by mentally being able to attune to each other without needing a radio wave. Telepathy, yeah.
Yeah, well, you can argue that, and maybe it's true. I mean, it doesn't really help you very much to say that, well, there's another way of communicating that's faster, cheaper, better in some sense. I mean, you can't build the equipment unless you know the physics. But the physics that we do know, which admittedly might not be complete, the physics we do know says the fastest, cheapest way to send bits of information from one star system to another is to do it on a beam of light or a beam of radio. Now, look, we know their physics is the same as our physics, so it makes sense to look. And as far as it being old technology, I mean, you guys are using radio, right? I used the wheel today. That's really an old technology, but it's always going to be used.
No, it is. You're absolutely right.
Although not necessarily travelling in space. Now, one of the interesting things that happened this week, Seth, was a scientist from NASA by the name of Ashwin Vazavada claimed that there's been an outbreak recently of UFO hunters who say that they found strange creatures on Mars. Now, he says that basically they are suffering from a psychological kind of, not necessarily disorder, but problem, which he calls pareidolia, which apparently means seeing familiar objects in random places. Have you experienced anything like that?
Yeah, no, that, again, I get photos essentially every second day. People look very carefully at the photos being made by, for example, the Curiosity rover on Mars. You know, this is a motorized skateboard, a very sophisticated one on Mars. It's climbing a mountain there, and it's looking for what's in the soil, the kind of chemicals that might be there. Maybe there's some indication that Mars once had life, microbial life most likely, but okay. But if you look at enough rocks, you're going to see things. You buy a 10-pound bag of potatoes and take a look at them, and you're going to see some of the kings of France in there.
Well, I mean, we have newspaper pieces here every so often where somebody's found,
you cut through a tomato and see the face of Jesus in the tomato and all this kind of stuff.
Or in a chapati or something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, this is an interesting thing. I'd never heard of this, pareidolia, particularly interesting because my broadcasting partner's name is Mike Parry.
Yes.
So I wonder whether he's suffering from it.
Yeah, well, could be.
I think it's just a lot of Greek.
Yeah. Nevertheless, Seth, you are up against a tidal wave of people who refuse to be pragmatic about the presence of UFOs and just simply believe they are there. You know, there are little green men flying around in silver flying saucers, and one of these days they'll land. I mean, do you not get tired of trying to put your point of view forward to the believers because they think you're a non-believer?
Well, I suffer a lot of ad hominem attacks, I got to tell you. But really, I'm not on a jihad about this. I got to say this about the aliens. If they are visiting, you've got to say they're the best house guests ever.
Right.
I mean, they don't kill anybody. They don't solve any of our problems.
But you see, the conspiracy theorists...
They don't interfere with your flights out of Heathrow, right?
But the conspiracy theorists, Seth, would say, well, of course they are. I mean, have you never come across something that you couldn't explain?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's aliens. I mean, there are a lot of things I can't explain. I can't explain the behavior of my brother, but it doesn't mean that he's being influenced by aliens.
Right. No, I think that's very true. And finally, just one final question. The other story that I loved this week is one that I read yesterday about a family that live in an area next to Area 51 down in Nevada, right? This is the Sheehan family. I don't know if you saw this story. They've owned this place called the Groom Mine for nearly 130 years. Yeah. They've been mining for silver, lead, copper, zinc, and small amounts of gold. Now, they've been living near what is generally regarded as, the centre of alien activity in the world, right? Because supposedly Roswell and the incident and all that happened down there as well. And what they're saying is that basically they've been very unhappy because they've had bullet casings dropping on the ground all over them. They've had huge explosions going on around them. They've suffered nuclear fallout because there's been testing going on in the Nevada desert. What they haven't said is that they've seen alien or evidence of alien activity.
Yeah, well, so there you go. I mean, there's no doubt that Area 51 exists. You can drive by it, and it's a secret military base, really, where they test out new aircraft and stuff like that. So, sure, the military has secrets. It tests weaponry and so forth and so on, and that's the part of the world where they tested the first atomic bombs for decades. Sure. They tested bombs. But, I don't know why you should connect that with aliens. I mean, for the aliens to be interested in our weaponry would be like you going back to the Roman Empire and deciding to spend all your time looking at their spear factories.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Seth, fascinating. Seth Shostak, who's the Senior Director of the Centre for SETI Research, and you can find him on www.seti.org as well. Now, let me read you this text that's coming from Jim in Coventry, who's sent this in on 8:10:89. He says, "Morning, Mr. Graham. Do you not think that you're working with an alien, Mr. Parry, because some of the things that he comes out with, I'm sure he is on another planet." Great show, gents. You always have me laughing my head off.
A bit harsh, but I will respond to that by telling you I came across a book recently about a guy called Malcolm Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of Britain's top ufologists, okay? This guy has just written another book called Strange Phenomena Investigations, SPI, and he has a team of people with him. He says that it's all started in 1992. He and his pal, two pals, Colin and Gary, they were literally travelling in a car on a journey, noticed that all their hands were shaking and realised they'd been abducted by aliens on the A70 near Edinburgh. Do you know the A70?
I don't actually, no.
Right, OK, the A70 near Edinburgh.
I know the A1 near Edinburgh.
Yeah, they'd been abducted by they were on their way to visit a friend, but as they looked out of the windscreen, hovering above the road, enormous black shiny disc-like craft.
Who is this bloke?
This guy's a ufologist. That's his job.
So he believes in UFOs?
He believes in UFOs. He sees circular objects. He sees metallic craft.
He's suffering from this pareidolia.
He sees black craft in zigzag motions. He says the original experience, which made him believe irrefutably that there are things out there. Suddenly, we were catapulted into total inky blackness. Couldn't see
inky blackness.
Inky blackness.
Well, the sky was inky black.
The sky was inky black.
Was he reading the Brazil book at the time?
He must have been, yeah. What appeared to be seconds later, the men remembered waking up in their car. The vehicle was shuddering violently. Arrived at their friend's house 90 minutes late. The journey should have taken 30 minutes. It took 2 hours.
Well,
nobody knows.
Traffic could be bad on the A70.
Nobody knows what happened in the missing 90 minutes. How about that?
Well, I'm sure that somebody knows, and I suspect that it's pareidolia that they're suffering from.
Maybe it stopped with the booze.
Maybe. Yeah, we've all had those things. You know, I set off at 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why it took me 12 hours. But it might have something to do with the train. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The pressure's on now.
Relieve the itch.
Coming up in the next hour, we've got Porkyvision, of course, which is the best TV review on this particular side of the Milky Way. Just one, before we get to Bavesh, who wants to talk about alien sightings.
Yes.
Tomo, who said that we never read his text out. I want to read it because he resent his original text.
Okay.
And he says, "Thanks, Mike and Mike. What do you think of Manchester City's new signings?" And Mike, Sterling is off the mark, by the way, is what he wants to point out to you. So he's another one of those people. Clay, he's a Manchester City fan, obviously. You've said that Raheem Sterling won't score more than 5 goals this season.
No,
he's already scored 1.
He won't score. Well, he scored 1. Yeah, okay. Well, he went 3 games without scoring.
4 games.
Yeah,
right?
but he won't be a regular. I mean, where does old De Bruyne?
De Bruyne?
Yeah, De Bruyne.
Well, he scores a few goals.
Yeah, and where does he play in the team?
I don't know yet.
Around about the same position that Raheem Sterling plays in the team. So there's going to be a bit of competition there.
But he's a little bit more versatile, though, isn't he?
Going to be a bit more competition. But anyway, look, Tomo, thank you for that, mate. What do I think of the signings?
What do you think of the signings? Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, a team as strong as Manchester City to then go and sign one of Europe's stellar players, which is what De Bruyne clearly is at 57 million.
Well, he is now, even though he didn't work out at Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chelsea could do with him, actually.
Yeah, of course they could do with him, yeah. Shows enormous ambition and a will to win.
Yeah.
So, without a shadow of a doubt, City are going to win the Premier League this season.
You're making that prediction now?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Well, if I was a bookmaker, I'd be paying out by now.
Would you?
Yeah, of course I would. Yeah, I know my marbles, mate. I know my onions.
I thought you lost your marbles many years ago. Now, speaking of which, let's talk to Bavesh, who's a Liverpool fan here in London. Bavesh, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. How are you, gentlemen?
Yeah, very well indeed.
Good.
Have you seen an alien?
No, I haven't. But what I'm going to regale you about, actually, is a very special story that I picked up on World Service, okay? Right. And it was got to do with a Fiorentina friendly in...
It's not a long story, is it?
No. It's with brevity, yeah?
All right.
In Florence, yeah? October 1954, 27th of October, yeah?
Okay.
And basically, there's a professor called Roberto Penote, yeah?
Right.
Pennote, yeah?
Yeah.
He's an Italian researcher, ufologist, and so forth, yeah?
Right.
Now, basically, in the build-up to this match, this special friendly, there's what is known in ufology as angel hairs being dispersed around the town. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a kind of pasta.
No. It's like this ethereal material, which is whitish.
Ethereal material?
Ethereal material,
Sounds
literally.
good.
yeah. And literally, it's like a foamy thing, and it would stay around for about an hour and dissipate, yeah? Which they duly did collect samples, yeah? Because this researcher had spoken to older gentlemen who were there back in those days.
Have they still got these samples then?
No, because they disappeared in an hour. But the story is, Mike, yeah, this is incredible, yeah? So you've got this angel here being dispersed around Florence, yeah? In the build-up to the Fiorentina friendly, and people are seeing in their droves anonymous objects in the sky, yeah? Okay, and so, wow.
Anybody take any pictures of them?
No, because this is 1954, mate.
They had cameras in 1954.
Yeah, but, I mean, come on, the technology was not ubiquitous, and we're talking like a picturesque...
Pretty good.
Village.
Anyway, what was the outcome of all this?
Yeah. So basically...
what's the point of the story? What's the point of the story, Bhavesh?
Yeah. The friendly was in play, yeah? The packed stadium, 20,000 people, everyone there, managers, gaff, you name it, yeah? Okay, and while the match was played, the UFO came over the stadium, stopped the match. All the players looked up. The whole stadium did. And we're talking scientists, doctors, solicitors, all kinds
solicitors were there as well.
Well-minded people were there, okay.
Were there any fans?
Tifosi, obviously, 20,000 people. So this makes...
I've been to the Fiorentina Stadium. It's a lot bigger than 20,000, I can tell you.
Yeah, but this was 1950.
It's right down the road from the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Anyway, what happened? Did they get out of the spaceship?
Get on with it.
No. So basically, the match had stopped play because the UFO hovered over the stadium. Yeah.
What was the score?
Okay. No, well, I
don't know the score.
Listen, stop interrupting. Bhavesh wants to get to the end of the story.
I don't think he knows what the end of the story is.
So what's the end of the story, Bhavesh?
Yeah. And so basically...
what happened?
The match stopped play as the UFO hung over the stadium.
Go on.
The UFO then dispersed, and then the match then commenced play again. Yeah?
Is that it?
Okay. So you had 20,000 odd people who spied this object, anonymous object. Which
Did it land nearby? Did it land nearby then, this object, Bhavesh?
No. But look,
was it ever seen again? Was it ever seen again?
No. But
well, this is rubbish story.
It's
a rubbish story, Bhavesh. I'm sorry.
Worse than one of yours. I'm sorry, Bhavesh.
Yeah, but you've got to go, man.
And also, he didn't even know the score.
No, he didn't know the score.
I'm not convinced.
I mean, that is just another sighting.
Well, also, if 20,000 people in a football stadium saw the same thing,
not one took a picture.
How come we've never heard about this story before?
Not one took a picture. The guy I'm talking about, Malcolm Robinson, the ufologist, right? Yeah. He says his closest encounters were just 18 months ago. He and friends taking photos at the petrochemical plant at Grangemouth near Falkirk. You know where that is, obviously.
Very well. I used to live very near there.
Yes, that's right. 10:45 p.m. Red circular object in the sky. The UFO stopped overhead, then descended.
Yeah, but Grangemouth, you've probably seen Grangemouth. It's just by the Forth Bridge, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at night time, it looks like the inside of a transistor radio.
Yes,
because it's got huge, lights and all sorts of
but
smoke going on.
Not only that, there's all sorts of steam and gases coming out of it. No. The next one, 1994, metallic object, metallic craft, disc-shaped metallic craft hovered at around 200 feet over Craig Iscar Reservoir in Fife.
Oh, yeah.
So for some unknown reason,
all these UFOs
were attacking Scotland. That's right, yeah.
Well, they weren't attacking them, exactly.
Yeah, and then in February this year, a 43-year-old housewife, Jane, walking her dog at 7:45 in Newton Abbot in Devon.
Oh, yeah.
She saw a triangular-shaped object in the sky. It zigzagged its way over her head, just 60 to 85 feet above her. It's all, where are the pictures for these things?
I mean, funnily enough, there are always people that will tell you that. I mean, when I was in the Caribbean once, on a sailing holiday, right? And we were the boat was moored just off St Vincent in the harbour of St Vincent.
I know St Vincent.
Right? I was I think I was in a bar actually. Funnily enough,
like you would be
on the shore. Yeah, yes. My ex-wife, who was on the trip, was sort of lying because it was a beautiful sort of starry night.
Yes.
So she was lying. She was lying on the deck, staring up at the sky.
Right.
She swore blind that she saw these two. What you might call, not really spaceships, two lights, which would look like two separate ships.
Sorry, it was just not at night, not daytime.
Of course it was at night. She was looking up at the stars.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And she saw these two lights.
You see stars in daytime sometimes.
You never see a star. When have you seen a star during the day?
You see the moon during the day.
It's not a star, is it?
Well, it's a planet.
You see the Venus, you see the evening star.
Come on, get on with it.
Which is also a planet.
Get on with it, yeah.
Well, I'm not Bhavesh, I'm not going to take that long to tell the story.
Yeah.
Anyway, she swears blind that she saw these two lights, which you might have thought when you saw them first was a plane, right? But they moved together. They were not connected. They were not part of the same object. They moved together very, very quickly across the sky one way.
It's probably a meteorite.
And then but then back across the sky the other way, and then off into the distance. Straight forwardly. So they went from the right to the left and then forward and away out of what appeared to be the current orbit of the Earth.
This involves another bar and a drinking story.
No, she wasn't in the bar. She told me the story when I got back to the boat.
Yeah, she'd probably been in the bar.
She had had a couple of drinks, yeah. You're not going to slag her off as well, are you?
Well, why not? It's intoxication lying on beaches and seeing UFOs flying around in the stars.
You've never seen anything you can't explain in terms of a UFO, then?
No, never. And I've travelled the world.
And you've never interviewed anyone who's convinced that they've seen a UFO?
No, and I'm a great communicator, and I also am, most pragmatic man in the world. I said, I've been everywhere, man, and all that kind of stuff. And
I've not been everywhere.
Well, you know what I mean. And I've never seen... I've been on the top of mountains and never seen UFOs. That's where they're supposed
to... just because you've been on top of a mountain?
Well, because that's where they're supposed to sort of hover around, aren't they?
No,
top of the mountains. Yes, they are.
Hover around the top of mountains?
Yes, they do.
Rubbish.
I've been up Glastonbury Thor thinking I might see a UFO. Because
Glastonbury what?
Glastonbury Thor. What are you laughing at? You idiot.
Thor is the Norse god, right?
Yeah.
It's Glastonbury Tor.
Yeah, well, whatever. But there's a little, church on the top of there, right? And they think
there's a sort of structure.
It's a little church. Wow. It's a little one-spire church. And by the way, I'm surprised somebody doesn't live in that, because it is a dwelling, a hovel, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's a quite a long way up.
Yeah, it is quite a long way up, yeah.
And also, it's a place of national heritage.
Yeah.
You can't just squat there.
That's right. But what I'm saying is that that part of the world is supposed to be famous for extraterrestrial beings,
Well, it's famous for ley lines as well, isn't it?
Ley lines?
Yeah, you know what ley lines are, don't you?
Yeah, they're kind of the things that they built the pyramids for. But
ley lines supposedly are sort of magical, lines literally under the earth where interesting things happen. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, Stonehenge. Like, you go from Glastonbury, the ley line continues up to Stonehenge, goes through Avebury, where there's another stone circle.
I've been to the Avebury Stone Circle. Do you know in the Avebury Stone Circle there is... it's called the Stone Circle because it literally is a circle full of big stones, big rocks. No, I mean, they are...
Can't buy me stones.
Yeah, that's right, can't buy me stones. But, I mean, they are the size...
It's a stone circle because it's literally a circle
each one's the size of a fridge, if you see what I mean, a big fridge. You know what I mean?
It's not as big as Stonehenge, though, is it?
No, it's not as big as Stonehenge. No, it's not. But what I'm saying is...
And it's not the same kind of stone, either.
While I was walking round there, I saw on a plaque that on one of the stones...
Did you go to the pub there?
I don't think I did, actually.
Right opposite the stones.
Is it? I probably did, yeah.
Very popular with motorcyclists.
Oh, is it? Right, OK. But anyway, the point of this story is that there's one huge stone, and there's a plaque there, and it says... Some poor chap is actually buried underneath the stone. But it's not because it was his grave. Right. It's because when they were making it, he fell in, and the stone fell on top of him.
Right, they couldn't get him out.
No, they didn't bother. The bloke who was the
Stone Meister.
Yeah, the Stone Meister, that's right. The modern day equivalent of the gaffer or whatever. Right. He said, well, we haven't got time to get him out because we're behind schedule.
No, he's probably probably related to the Parry family.
Well, I don't know, but...
Man with little compassion.
He fell into the 10 or 12 foot deep hole in which they put in the stone, and then the stone fell in on top of him. Yeah. They could have got him out, but they said, no, it's not worth it, so they filled it in. Right. So the poor guy died underneath the stone. He's still there.
Yeah, well, he's got a plaque for him to his name.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Really, honestly.
It certainly is a bit harsh.
Death by stone at Avebury, it's not good.
Yeah, stoned to death.
Yeah.
They still do that down there.
What's that?
Get stoned a lot.
That would be ridiculous.
They do. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up in the next hour, of course, it's time for Porkyvision and a fantastic review of the TV that Mike Parry has watched, so it won't be very long.
I'm going to do a bit of radio vision tonight as well.
Radio vision?
Yeah.
You can't see the radio.
Well, you know what I'm talking about.
No, not really. What are you going to review?
A radio programme.
Really?
Yeah.
What, ours?
No.
Somebody else's?
Somebody else's, yeah.
What, on this station?
No.
On another station?
Yes.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
But it's good. You'll understand.
Right,
You'll understand.
Now, one of the things that I like about doing this show with you is that we have some very intelligent listeners out there, right?
Oh, indeed. All our listeners are intelligent. It's just varying degrees of intelligence.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, it's all relative, I suppose,
Some of them are Dumbo-rated
That's a bit harsh.
intelligence,
That's
if you see what I mean.
No,
but not many. But most, I would say, are on a range from average intelligence to high intelligence, to high intelligence, to what I call the Einstein factor.
Yeah, well, Winston may be one of them, right?
Okay.
Because he's one of the people who has sent this in, and another one came in anonymously, right? Okay. But it's all about when we were having that conversation about whether you can see stars during the daylight, right? And this one says, Winston says, really, when do you ever see a star in the daytime? We wouldn't have a daytime without that star we call the sun.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely true.
And another one that doesn't have a name says you can technically see a star in daylight. The sun is a star.
Exactly. There you go. See, thank you very much indeed. Yeah. So, will you now retract the ridicule and the scorn that you tried to pour upon me when I said that?
Well, I certainly would confess and concede that you can see the sun during the daytime, obviously, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to have daytime.
Good.
But generally speaking, the stars that I was talking about in the night sky, you don't see during the day.
Yes, the stars are so far away. If you got in a spacecraft and travelled for 10 years, you wouldn't be 1% closer to that star that you're watching.
Really?
10 light years later, maybe not. Now, listen, old Ben, who's our news editor here, right?
Yeah.
Come up with a great story, and I love this story. I first heard about it this afternoon. He's got it absolutely factually right. Drinkers put more than twice as much money into public services as they cost. Right? This is the study he's unveiled today.
You mean as they cost the public services, like the NHS, etc.?
I'm going to give you the facts.
All right.
It found that far from being a drain on the NHS, a drain on the police, a drain on the welfare system, they actually subsidise all those public services to the tune of £6.5 billion a year through alcohol taxes.
Well, this is the same as the conversation you know I've had about smokers.
Exactly.
Where I say that smokers contribute something like $10 billion to the national tax coffers.
Absolutely right. Now, listen, it goes on to say, the study by the Institute of Economic Affairs think tank said the government could halve all forms of alcohol duty and still receive more in tax than it spends dealing with alcohol-related problems, OK?
OK.
Now, this is incredible. Campaigners against alcohol often cite a 2003 Whitehall estimate of 20 billion a year as the cost of drinking to the...
Are you feeling all right? There, you're not going to expire on the air, are you? You've got a show to do tomorrow, you know. Heaven's sake. I'll tell you what, while you get your breath back, let me read this. Hang on. Just take your breath back for a second.
Right. Yeah, go on.
Let me read you this. It's from Jake in Aberdeen. He says, at the start of February...
I'm Jake in the fate little on. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Don't make fun of his name.
Right.
At the start of February, I was driving home at 3 a.m. when I saw in the sky what appeared to be a pulsing ball of light. One of the strangest things I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything like it before or since. It will disappear and then reappear really brightly, like almost a lighthouse, but in the sky. As I drove further along the road, it got closer and closer, akin to my usual junction. And instead of turning right, which I always do, I turned left, as it didn't want to go. I didn't want to go closer to the object. I got further down the road at this point. The object is right above me. As the light disappeared, I noticed and made out the size of the object, the shape of it, which was almost like the ship when they disappear. I noticed there were several other lights that were different colours, and I was doing about 60 miles an hour. And I then managed to glance up for maybe 2 seconds. It scared me, and I drove home as fast as I could.
Where was that?
Well, in Aberdeen, presumably.
Yeah, well, you see a lot of people in Scotland, they do have a tendency to drink quite a lot of whiskey, don't they?
Well, I'm not sure that he would have been driving in that sense.
No, I'm not suggesting he's a drink driver or anything like that, but whiskey can have a long-term rotting effect on your brain, that's all I'm saying. Listen, just getting back to the drink thing, because we were talking about drink as well. What they're saying is, if the cost to the country of, everybody getting bladderated all the time is 20 billion, we actually take in 60 billion in drink taxes. So... this is a very, very good argument to go to George Osborne, the Chancellor's Exchequer, and say, look, instead of a bottle of whiskey costing, what's it cost, £15?
What, a bottle of whiskey?
Yeah.
Well, I think probably 12 quid if it depends on where you shop.
£12.
Yeah.
Of which £10 is tax. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. Well, that should then be halved to £5 in tax.
Why?
Plus £7.
Why?
Because we're paying drinkers who enjoy a tipple are paying huge amounts of money to subsidise the National Health Service.
Yeah, but people who buy alcohol are more than happy to do that. Then nobody complains about the price of drink, do they?
Oh, of course they do. I complain about the price of drink. It's massively expensive.
You don't buy whiskey.
Hang on, you've just been to Mexico where you tell me you're buying bottles of liquor for 2 pesos or something.
No, I said I was buying cigarettes for 2 quid.
Yeah, that's right.
Cigarettes for 2 quid.
Yeah.
Oh, certainly. I mean, I bought. You could have bought a bottle of tequila for about 10 quid.
Well, 10 quid's not that cheap. But, if you go to Spain, you buy bottles of Bacardi for like €4 and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, listen, what were you telling me about these Agatha Christie books?
Oh, yeah, well, I was telling you earlier, I was asking you if you'd ever read an Agatha Christie book.
I've never got through one.
Have you ever started one?
Yes, I've started a few. I've started The Mousetrap.
Right.
And I've started, like Death on the Nile and all that kind of stuff.
You've never seen the movies, though?
Hey?
Have you ever seen the movies?
Do you know why I can't stand them? Because of the big fat guy who plays Poirot.
Hercule Poirot.
Yeah, and it's not David Suchet who plays it in the TV series. In the films, it's...
Oh, you mean Peter Ustinov?
Peter Ustinov, big fat man.
I like Peter Ustinov.
Oh, no.
Well, part of his charm was that he was a large man.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a boar, fat boar, you know.
A fat boar?
Yeah.
Is that all you've got to say about Peter Ustinov?
Yeah.
A man, one of the most distinguished actors that we've ever seen in this country.
Not to me. A fat boar with an inflated opinion of himself. Now,
that's pretty good coming from you. Now apparently, they've done. They had a sort of vote on which was Agatha Christie's best book.
Oh yes. Well, I wouldn't know.
And they've come out with, and then there were 3. Oh, no, and then there were none actually.
Yeah, now that's the one, actually. I saw that made into a film years ago.
First published in 1939.
Oh, yes. Excuse me, a load of people...
What's the matter with you?
I don't know. It was the air conditioner or something. A load of people go to this island off Devon. Yeah. I know that because I remember the film. And they're all invited in this house, but the host never turns up. Right. And then one by one, they all end up with like a bullet in their forehead. I remember distinctly one of them, sitting there in the chair. There was a bullet between his eyes. Yeah. And then another one was found hanging. Another one was found drowned off the beach. Right. And they all go one by one.
Was Peter Ustinov in this one?
No, he wasn't. No.
Because it was Miss Marple, wasn't it, that solved some of the crimes?
Yeah, but she wasn't in that either.
Hercule Poirot.
Wasn't in that. The Agatha Christie, I'm sure she was a brilliant woman and all that, but she went bonkers anyway, didn't she, during her life? Yeah, she disappeared to a place called Harrogate in Yorkshire and stayed in a hotel
what's wrong
with
Harrogate?
What?
What's wrong with Harrogate?
Harrogate's lovely, actually.
Yeah,
I had a girlfriend in Harrogate once.
Did you?
She's very, very nice. Yeah. Oh. But I've never got through a Harry Potter book. Why are you laughing?
It's the original title of the book.
What? Oh, I see. Original titles. Yeah, that's
we
right.
Can't say that.
No, but I've never got through a Harry Potter book. Never got through a Lord of the Rings book.
Yeah.
Never got through an Agatha Christie book. Never got through. Who was the?
Did you ever read The Hobbit then?
No, I've never read The Hobbit.
Really?
No.
I thought everybody read The Hobbit.
No.
Did you ever read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe?
No, I didn't know.
What did you read as a child then?
Famous Five and Secret Seven.
Yeah, we did a quiz
exactly.
on that,
Yeah.
On Edith Blyton.
Yeah, and
I think you got 2 out of 10.
No, I didn't.
You named 8 people in the Secret Seven.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. And also, I never got through Dick Francis' book. Now, Dick Francis was a great thriller writer. Most of his stories were based around the horse racing industry and all that. He was the jockey, of course, who was on the horse that collapsed in the in the famous
picture
Enter the Grand National.
Yes,
in 1954, wasn't it? I think so. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
What's it called? Devon Lock. That's right. This horse is called Devon Lock.
This book sold over 100 million copies.
I know. It's amazing,
now,
isn't it?
Compared to your Sky Was Inky Black opus, that's roughly what 100 million copies more than yours.
No, how many's it sold?
100 million.
Mine sold 100,000.
100,000.
100,000.
You're joking.
I'm not. Brazil.
Does that include the current sales figures that have come from the 1 penny Amazon sales?
No. There's an awful lot of bubbly in Brazil. Top of the Sunday Times bestseller list. Sold 100,000. Don't rubbish.
I don't believe
the
you.
Facts, please.
I don't believe you.
Sold 100,000 copies and therefore qualified as bestseller. Yes, that's what I can tell you.
All right. Well, I'd be happy.
Very few people have ever written a best-selling book, but I happen to be amongst them.
I'd be very happy to see the breakdown of the chart from that time.
Well, I haven't got the chart from
Why
the
not?
time.
Listen, if I'd written a book,
I think I'm some sort of egotist who keeps charts up in my house.
If I'd ever written a book that was in the Sunday Times bestseller list, I would have at least a picture of the chart that showed that my book was in it.
I don't think like that.
Don't you?
I don't think like that. No. Why? Just so to impress people. Look how clever I am.
Well, no, just to show myself.
People know I'm clever. I don't have to prove it.
Just to remember, many, many years later, just to, if I ever had a moment of self-doubt, which I know you never have, to look at it and go, look at that, I was once in the Sunday Times bestseller list.
To be perfectly honest, I thought I would probably sell one, I'd probably write another one which sold much more, but I haven't had time.
No.
But that might come.
You never know.
That might come.
Anyway, look into the light for a moment, because it is that time. We've got lots more coming up.
See that story about that poor little dog that's been in a dog's home for 20 years, and still nobody's ever adopted the dog and taken it home. 50,000 people have passed through the dog's home looking for pets, and it's a pet whippet.
Normally now, though, in dogs, these kind of sanctuaries, do they not have them put down if nobody picks them up?
No, because it's such a lovable little dog and all the staff love it and all that. Sorry?
But I mean, all dogs are.
It's a real shame, but I hope somebody's found it by now. The dog's name was Maggie the Whippet. And I'm just hoping that, because of the publicity.
Why don't you rescue it?
Well, because I can't have a dog and live in a penthouse, can I?
Why not?
Well, because I have to throw the dog over the railing for it to get exercise.
Well, you go down the stairs with it.
Yeah, but then what do you do? Walk around and take it back up the stairs?
Yeah.
Dogs need to live on a ground floor. Dogs can't live on elevated properties. No, they can't.
They do in New York, don't they?
Well, yeah, but they're all mad in New York, aren't they? We all know that.
Well,
they carry them around. They carry dogs around in their women carry them around in their handbags. Yeah. They're that mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like a big Labrador in a bag.
Well, you wouldn't put a Labrador in a bag, would you?
No. That'd be hard.
Mm-hmm.
This is Talk Sport with the two mics.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
A terrific performance.
Turn of...
Independent quizmasters have already been set their task. So I hope you've been boning up on some Mexican facts.
Of course.
So that'll be very interesting. Now, we're playing a bit of Queen there.
Now, you know
because
what?
there's a big important anniversary coming up, isn't
Well, it's not an anniversary, it's a milestone. On September the 9th, the Queen, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, will have reigned for longer than the currently longest-serving monarch in the history of this great country.
Which was what, Queen Victoria?
Queen Victoria.
Yeah.
I think she did 63 years or something like that. Right. And the Queen overtakes on September the 9th.
Does she?
Now, yes, absolutely.
So what, 64 years is it?
Well, it'll be
50. Was it 53? Was it she came in?
She came into power in 53 on the same day as Mallory and Chetin Song climbed Everest.
Who?
You know,
do you mean Hillary?
Hillary, that's right. Yeah, Hillary. And his and his backpacker. That's him, the Sherpa.
Who did you say it was? Mallory and some other bloke.
No. I thought his name was Chetsi Song or something. But anyway,
it was Sherpa Tenzing.
Sherpa Tenzing. He's the guy.
Yeah, that's it.
And the Queen ascended to the throne on the same day. So if that's 53, then hang on, I always count it like this: 63, 73, 83, 93, 03, 13. That's 60.
Yeah.
So it's 60...
So that's only 62 years.
62 years at the moment. Well, the Queen Victoria must have been 62 years then.
Yeah, maybe.
So there you go. Now, so the reason I play this, I want to know what your ideas are for us to celebrate this immense milestone, and how are we going to pay tribute to our monarch?
About?
What do you mean, what am I talking about?
What ideas do you want from me? It's
I want ideas from
Wednesday.
You oaf.
Well, I've got the ideas.
You just sit here and let the world blithely sway around your head.
I don't believe in celebrating royal milestones.
But she's our monarch.
Well, so what?
She's the longest-serving monarch in the history of the world.
Well, that's great.
What are you thinking about doing?
I'm not doing anything.
To mark this moment?
I'm not going to do anything.
I think you're a scumbag.
I might go out for dinner. How about that?
You little scumbag. Don't you know how much you owe Queen Elizabeth II? Don't you know what she's done for you?
Well,
she's held this country.
What about what I've done for her?
She's held this country together through thick and thin, through wars,
absolute rubbish,
through plague, through economic recession.
I'm a big fan of the Queen. Look, I love the Queen. I think she's done a great job.
Yeah, well, what are you doing to celebrate it?
I don't need to do anything in order to celebrate it, to show that I am in some way her loyal subject. You know,
yes, you do.
Myself.
You do.
I don't see myself as
that. Do you regard yourself as a loyal subject?
No, I don't.
Well, you might as well be a Russian then. You might as well push off to, the Black Lubyanka, pal.
Right.
Okay?
Well, what are you going to do?
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I shall certainly stand to attention. No, I shall stand to attention.
Well, is there a particular time that it's supposed to happen?
Well,
midday or something?
There will be a formal salute with the cannons firing on,
What, in Green Park?
In Green Park, that's absolutely
right. What time is that happening?
That'll happen at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Are you going to go there and watch that then?
I may if I have the opportunity. I will definitely write her a letter thanking her for...
You'll write her a letter?
Definitely. Thanking her for her loyal service over the years.
How will you get the letter to her?
You post it, actually.
You're going to post it... Well, you better get on with it, because if you want it to get there by next Wednesday...
Because...
If it's second-class post...
Don't know if you've noticed, but when you put a letter into a red letterbox in this country, it says... It's got a crown emblem on it, and it says that this is protected by royal warranty as the Queen's property once it goes into the post box.
Well, if it's nothing to do with her, then the postal service in this country has been woefully, undermined.
No,
and
she doesn't run it, does she?
It's no longer as good as it was. So, I mean, I don't write letters. I mean, send her an email.
No, don't be ridiculous. Funny enough, you should say that, by the way. I read a report just the other day saying that this year will be a record low in the number of Christmas cards sent.
Yeah.
Because everybody now is into stupid little text with emojis.
Yeah,
emojis on them. Yeah. And emails and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, or electronic cards even.
Electronic cards, yeah. That's right. Isn't that pathetic? Don't you think that's pathetic?
Well, I mean...
Don't you think there's still, a real pleasure in going into a shop, seeing a card with a lovely, supposing it's for your mum or something like that, and it's got a nice, a Christmas thing on the front.
I'll do birthday cards and Christmas cards, but that's about it. And I don't send many Christmas cards or birthday cards. I mean, just to my immediate family. I mean, you didn't send me a birthday card or a Christmas card.
Well, I didn't send you a birthday card because I didn't know it was your birthday.
Well, it's not very difficult. You've only known me 30-odd years.
Yeah, well, I don't care when your birthday is. It's not a big day for me.
Right.
It's not a big day, man.
But the Queen's is.
Well, of course it is. She's the monarch. She's the head of state. Now,
shocking.
What I was going to say to you was, so you get this card, and that actually means that you've left your home, you've gone to a shop, you've bought it, you've written it, you've put it in an envelope, you've gone and bought a stamp.
Or in your case, you've sent somebody else out to buy it for you.
No, not at all. You've got a stamp, you put the stamp on, then you've walked to the post box and you put it in the post box. I mean, how can you possibly convey any sense of interest in the person you're sending the card to if you've simply sat in front of your laptop, literally, designed a little stupid, design of a card?
Well, if you've had to take some time over it,
and then just pinged it off.
Well, no, if you've had to take some time over it,
it's not the same thing.
Also, there's nothing wrong with writing a card and handing it to somebody. Say, for example, in a place of work,
that's rubbish.
or in somebody that you live with in the same house.
That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing, honestly.
Well, how many Christmas cards did you send this year?
Well, actually, I tell you what, it is an example of the fact that you find out how many friends you've got when you do this. Because I ordered, now let me see, what year is it now? It's 2015. In about 2009, I ordered my normal set of printed cards, with a message inside.
And what was the picture on the front?
I think the picture on the front was a beautiful, snowy scene in a wood.
Winterscape.
Yeah, winterscape, that's right, yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
It'll snow everywhere.
Photograph or painting? Or
No, it was a photograph. It was a photograph, yeah. But anyway, the point...
Did you have your own name inscribed inside the card?
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
ridiculously
season greetings, happy Christmas and New Year.
From what?
From Mike Parry, yeah.
That's really pompous.
No, it's not. It's
no wonder you're a snob.
It's not. It's polite and it shows class.
No,
it shows class.
Pathetic. I think it's pathetic.
Anyway, the point.
Well, I've never had one of those anyway, so what would I know? You've never sent me a Christmas card in your life. No.
I've actually got a Christmas card you sent me in New York.
Have you?
I have.
Blimey.
I have. I found it somewhere.
I think, in fact, when I formed my company over there...
That's right.
I think I did get some Christmas cards because it was from the company.
And you've got them made, and they've got, they're shaped out like towers in Manhattan.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, very tasteful.
Anyway, the point of my story is...
Yeah, go on.
You find out just how popular you are in life. When I ordered these 100 cards in 2009, I thought, well, that'll do for this year. And then I was going to order, a new set the following year and the year after.
Does it have the year on it?
No, it doesn't have the year on it.
So you can use it next year?
Well, it depends. If your circumstances might have changed. For instance, you might have changed your email address or something like that, because I had my email address.
You had your email address?
Yes.
In the card?
Yes, absolutely.
Why?
Well, because it indicates
so you hope
to me...
that somebody will send you an email going, thanks very much for sending me a nice card?
No, it wasn't that. Anyway, the point of my story is...
It's pathetic.
That was 2009. We're now in 2015.
Yes.
And guess what?
What?
I found out that I've got so few friends, I've still got 13 of the 100 cards left 6 years on.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, I mean, it's ridiculous, in the end...
So you're sending out about, 15 cards a year?
Something like that, yeah.
And that includes your family, presumably?
Well, no, because I got a special one for my mum, a special one for my sisters, you see what I mean?
Right.
But what I'm saying is... Each year, I send fewer and fewer cards. Because each year, I look at my Christmas card list.
Also, with the age that you are, some of your friends are probably dying off.
Maybe they haven't died. But it's more like this, Mike. See, the older you get, the more cynical you get. So I look at my Christmas card list that I drew up in 2009, and I say, no, you're a bum, I'm not sending you a card. And I cross it off.
Oh, this is because you've fallen out with more people.
Maybe.
Over the course
and then
of
I look
a year.
at another one, and I think, I don't know why I ever bothered sending you a card in the first place, you're off. Then I look at another one and think, hang on, I've been sending you a card all these years. You've never sent me one back.
Yeah.
Right, you're getting it.
Right.
Bang, and I scratch that one out.
So I was going to say, if you don't get one back, then you knock them off the list.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so from an original dispatch of maybe 25 cards in 2009, it's probably now down to about 8.
Well, given that you've got so few to send out, why don't you just send me one?
No.
Get it over with.
Well, I see you every day, don't I? So what's the point of sending you a card? That's a bit sort of wacky, isn't it? Or,
I don't think so.
Bit pathetic.
I might see in a new light if you actually did something nice for me.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, look, I wouldn't worry about it because you're not going to be short of cards, are you? You've got your children send you cards. They probably make one at school for you, do they?
Sometimes. That's more like sort of Mother's Day, Father's Day type.
Have you noticed, by the way, and I know we say this every year and it gets shorter and shorter, but already now in restaurants you go into, there's now the table in the corner with the festive greetings on it and all that, and book your party here and all that. Have you seen that?
No, funny, because I was out
I saw that last month. I saw that in August.
Did you?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And it's all happening. Now, this is a great...
Well, was it not Selfridges that opened up their Christmas shop or something already?
Harrods have a one all year.
There's a shop in London Bridge which is just called the Christmas Shop.
The Christmas Shop, that's right, yeah. Well, that's because if people come to England in summer for their summer holidays and all that, and they want to take back, unique Christmas presents of pictures of, the Tower of London on them with all the beef eaters and all that. They want to be able to buy them then. That's why Harrods has
they go to the Tower of London, don't they?
Yeah, but they don't want to go to the Tower of London, do they? They want to go into the Christmas shop and buy it all there. And that's why Harrods have literally every day of the year, they have a Christmas shop. But what I was going to say is, sign of a healthy economy is when restaurants start advertising their facilities for Christmas parties in August. Yeah. Because they know there's a lot of money around and they know they're going to have to be competitive in getting in. Well, they know that lots of people are going to have lots of parties. Yeah. So it's a very good sign. If you don't see any, publicity or adverts for Christmas parties until early November, you know that the country is completely knackered because they're not expecting any business.
So your prediction is that we are in good, healthy state?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think so. Well, until we get into the reverberations of the Chinese crisis, which, of course, I predicted a year ago in this very studio. I said there's going to be a financial crisis in China because the iron ore exports from Western Australia are dwindling downwards. You mocked and laughed at me. The world tried to deride me. Now I've been found to be smarter than Keynes, the great economist.
Really?
Who wasn't very smart anyway, because he believed in nationalisation. So he was a jerk.
No, he wasn't. He didn't believe in nationalisation.
Anyway,
that's another story.
He believed in state spending.
Rubbish.
He did. He believed that the state should back all spending.
Have a look at the time.
I don't care about the time. I'm trying to educate you.
I know. It's too late for that. Coming up next, Porkyvision.
Talk sport.
And it's in!
A diving header at the end of a 50-yard run.
From the root to the tip.
Talk sport.
Talk Sport, and that music has to say only one thing. It means it's time for Porkyvision, Mr. Parry's weekly television review, where he tells you what you should be watching, what you've missed, and what he's missed as well.
Yeah,
which sounds like quite a lot this week.
No, I haven't. No, I've been.
You said you've been very busy.
I've been busy, but I've been diligent.
Have you?
Now listen, there was a show on called The Trials of Jimmy Rose.
Oh yeah,
and that starred Ray Winstone, who's one of my favourite actors.
Is he?
And I like Ray a lot. And I met him at the World Cup in Germany in 2006. We had a long chat about football. He's a West Ham fan and all that kind of stuff. You know,
he's a fairly regular Talk Sport guest, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, great guy. Great guy. The only problem is they always play him as a hard man, and the plots that surround his hard man image are not always very sound.
Right.
And this Trials of Jimmy Rose, I just thought it was a bit flawed.
What's the story?
Well, he comes out of jail after 12 years for armed robbery.
Right.
And 12 years in jail for armed robbery is an awful long time.
Yeah.
It means that your sentence has probably been 20 years.
Yeah, right.
Because you get like 50%.
So there must have been some violence involved.
Well, whatever. But he comes out to a beautiful house in what looks like Essex, which is, it's like birds of a feather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like sort of, he's in jail, but his wife is living in the big house. He's at the proceeds of the robbery. That's not explained or anything like that.
Oh, so he hasn't had all his money taken away?
Well, we don't know, because then he's having a row with his mate about what happened to the money. It's in Spain, and we went bankrupt and all that kind of stuff.
And is it contemporary? It's meant to be.
It's contemporary, but then the age thing doesn't work. We suddenly discover he's got a granddaughter who's suddenly been dragged into a drugs ring, and she's living in a squat in Wandsworth.
Right.
So he suddenly gets in the car and drives to Wandsworth. And then he walks around Wandsworth with a picture in his hand saying, have you seen her? Have you seen her?
Right. And how old is she meant to be then?
Like 18 or something?
Yeah. Right.
And then he finds her in a squat in Wandsworth, which is actually a drugs den.
Yeah.
And so, guess what? Because it's got like a drug den like gate on it, you know what I mean? A metal gate.
A sort of metal door, yeah.
A big metal gate.
Yeah.
Goes and gets his mate to get an oxyacetylene kit and cuts through the door.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean?
That sounds quite dramatic.
Well, and then...
Well, what don't you like about it?
The fact that it relies on Ray Winstone and the power of his character and the strength of his acting and all that to carry the plot, which I think is flawed in all sorts of places.
And is it like a series then?
Well, it's a three-parter.
Okay.
I've only seen the first part.
They do a lot of these three-part series,
Yeah, they do.
don't
They do. And Amanda Redmond's in it. She's pretty good.
Amanda Redmond's good. I'm not sure what the point of these three-part series
Well,
is.
I don't know. But anyway, look, there was that. Now, the other thing I saw a bit of was Stephen Fry wandering around a country. You know what I mean?
Wandering around this country?
I can't remember which country it was.
Country.
No, it's a country.
Okay.
Do you know what? I think it might have been South America.
Really?
And he's wandering around South America doing things that South Americans do. You know what I mean? Well, like eating local, cakes, which are baked in like a clay oven.
A clay oven?
Yeah, I
not
think
a wood oven.
No, not a wood oven, no. And, doing a local...
It sounds like a travelogue of some kind.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Doing like a...
Is it a bit like Portillo on his train journeys?
Well, no, this is the point I was going to make. You see, I tell you who started it, and it was a great show, and he's a great guy. What's the name of the guy with long hair and the bag that we've talked about before? You know,
long hair and a bag.
You know, Kung Fu.
Oh, David Carradine.
No. But I likened him to David Carradine. This guy wanders around and makes the programme Coast.
Yeah, the Scottish guy.
Yes, Scottish guy. Good guy. Great guy.
Well, surely the guy who started all this travel stuff was Michael Palin.
No, I don't think it was.
Yeah, it was.
No, I think it was this
Palin
Coast guy.
started doing, his travels around the world.
This Coast guy, everybody thinks...
he just goes around the coast.
Yeah, goes around the coast, yeah. But
he didn't travel around the world, though.
No, but he finds these great stories and these coastal resorts. Now, everybody thought he was just a sort of a journalist who'd come up with the idea.
He's a professor.
He's an archaeologist.
Yeah.
I'll remember his name in a minute.
Really?
But he's very good.
I doubt it.
No, he's very good. But he does it properly. Now, ever since then... What a lot of TV producers have done is go and find, like a quotes star.
Yeah,
right?
They like to have celebrities.
Yeah, and then get them to sort of wander around somewhere. So some guy whose name I can't remember went back and did My Yorkshire. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you find him on a...
Neil Oliver's a guy.
Neil Oliver's a guy, that's right, yeah. So this guy, is it Aid Edmondson or somebody like that?
Adrian Edmondson, yeah. He's one of the young ones.
Was he?
Yeah.
I think
he remember the young ones? You don't remember the young ones?
Yeah, of course I do, yeah. It was unfortunately, Rick, what's his name? Who's dead.
Yeah, that's right.
He turned over his 4x4, didn't he? But he survived that.
Well, it was a quad bike, I think, wasn't it?
Quad bike. Yeah, he survived that.
Yeah.
And then he died. But anyway, so this guy goes back to Yorkshire, and all of a sudden, oh, look, I'm on a sheep farm in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
So what? You know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff. Now, the worst one ever was Robson Green. Robson Green...
He does a fishing show now, doesn't he?
I think he does a fishing show, yeah. He doesn't seem to act in anything these days. He does a fishing show.
Yeah.
Actually, the last great series I saw him in was called The Gambling Man.
Oh, yeah.
And that was written by Catherine Cookson,
okay,
who was the great North-East authoress. Remember?
No.
She's dead now.
Well, I didn't see it.
Oh, I saw it. It was good, yeah.
Okay.
He got beaten up because he won all the money.
Yeah.
And then...
what money?
Well, at this gambling school, he won all the money.
Yeah.
And but the guys there were villains.
Ah.
And they said, "Oh, well, you think you had a good night, don't you?" He said, "Yes, I have." He said, "Yeah, but you haven't got out of this building yet."
Oh dear.
And he said, "I'm leaving now." But then they had a gang waiting outside who beat him up and threw him in the River Tyne.
Took all the money back.
And took his money back. Yeah. So he's a bit of a fool.
Shocking.
Anyway, point of this story
Wire in the
is
Blood I used to watch. That was good too.
Yeah.
Wire in the Blood.
Was that Idris Elba?
No.
I thought it was.
No, he was Luther.
Oh, Luther, that's right, yeah. Now then, what I'm saying is, so they get Robson Green to say, oh, now you're a Geordie, so we'll portray you as the professional Geordie. Yeah. So start talking like a Geordie. So it was, why, aye, man.
What was this show?
Broonsaroon, eh?
What show was this?
Well, this was like a wandering around Northumberland show. Well, I don't know what you're laughing at. So,
I don't know what you're talking about.
No. So they say to Robson Green, why, aye, man. Broonsaroon, get it doon, and go and wander around Northumberland. Yeah. So he goes wandering around Northumberland.
Sounds a great show.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So he finds...
What about Stephen Fry?
Eh?
What about Stephen Fry?
Well, Stephen Fry was I think he was in South America he was wandering around. Right. But what I'm saying is, they got all these actors now who aren't acting.
But people love these kind of travel programmes.
No, I hate them. They're useless.
You might not like them. But
I could do a brilliant job.
Well, where would you go then?
Well, I'll tell you what, Andy Townsend and I talked to a production company once about doing Ireland, because Andy was captain of the Irish football team. Okay. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were going to wander around Ireland.
But he didn't sound Irish.
Well, of course, it doesn't sound Irish. He lives in England, but he's an Irishman who's captain of the...
Yeah, but he didn't really sound Irish, does he?
That doesn't matter.
We go around Ireland. We want to go around Ireland with somebody who sounds Irish.
Well, we talk like this. Top of the day to you. Top of the day to you. Where's
top of the morning?
That's right. Top of the morning to you. And you. Let's have a few pints of Guinness.
You'd rather do it with somebody like Roy Keane, wouldn't you?
No. You see, with my journalistic skills, I'd go and find all the local characters. Yeah. So you'd find some guy in Ireland who, yes, I first kissed the Blarney Stone when I was 4 years of age, you know.
I think the Irish would be very keen on this show.
Well, I think they would be. Anyway, point of the story is...
What is the point of the story?
Robson Green one, they find...
Still on Robson Green? Yeah. Tell me about Stephen Fry.
Well, Stephen Fry's wandering around South America, you know, doing, like, tricks.
Right. Tricks?
Yeah, you know, sort of, you know, jumping off. Oh, that's right. He jumped off a mountain. Not literally, but he had a zip wire. Right. He come down the zip wire thing, you know. Yeah. But anyway, get back to Robson Green. Yeah. So he goes and finds this bloke with a boat.
Well, I didn't think this Robson Green thing was on anymore.
No, it was a long time ago. It was years ago.
It wasn't on this week, then?
No, it wasn't on this week, no. But he gets in this boat and rows over to this island, and then he spends a night on an island that's got a lot of birds on it. I mean, you know, it's all trash. It's
Bird
rubbish.
Island.
It wasn't called Bird Island, but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm saying is, I don't think they work these wandering around all over the place type programmes.
As I said, Michael Palin
Joanna Lumley's just done one, hasn't she?
Has she?
Don't remember.
Well, where's she going?
I don't know. Now, where does she come from? She started wandering around somewhere. Anyway, look, I didn't think it was any... I tell you what was funny about this programme about whatever it was about. Who was it with? Ray Winstone, right? It's called The Trials of Jimmy Rose. You won't believe this, but when the credits came up at the end... Now, they did a couple of stunts in this, you know, where Ray Winstone had to chase these guys and get involved in fighting with them and all this kind of stuff. And the chief stuntman, guess what his name was?
I don't know.
Robbie Keane.
Robbie Keane?
Robbie Keane.
No relation, clearly.
Well, I assume not. I mean, unless he's given up playing...
Well, they used to do that handstand goal celebration very well.
Yeah, he did, actually, yeah. So I suppose he's going to do something. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing about this is...
Yeah.
I actually didn't watch this on the telly. Guess what I watched it on?
What did you watch it on?
ITV Player.
Oh, right. Well, so it's still on the telly, then?
No, I figured out how to get ITV Player.
Oh, you mean on your laptop?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't watch it on your TV?
No.
Oh, because you haven't got a smart TV, have you?
Yes, I have.
No, you haven't.
I have.
Well, if you have a smart TV, you can watch ITV Player on the TV.
Well, I don't know how to do that. But I had to do it on my laptop.
Well, you have all these apps on the TV. I don't think you've got a smart TV. I'm pretty sure you haven't.
I probably have.
You've got a cable TV.
Hey?
You haven't got a television that is able to run the internet through it, is what I'm saying.
Well, I don't know. I've never tried it.
You don't know.
How would I know?
Well, if you bought a smart TV, you'd know. So you haven't got one.
Look, just stop complicating the issue. What I'm saying is, to get onto ITV Player, you have to go through answering all these questions. I got them all right, and all of a sudden,
what are you talking about? Answer what questions?
Well, like, what's your password and all this kind of stuff. What's wrong with you? What's your problem? What are you?
You think you have to take some kind of a quiz?
Yeah,
to find ITV Player.
What do you do?
Yeah,
anyway, look, Finally, I said that I was going to tell you something about radio. I'm not going to tell you which station this was on.
Okay.
But I made sure I listened to this. Yeah. And do you know what it was?
Did you have to take a quiz before you heard it?
No. It was the Beatles meet Elvis.
Oh, yeah?
No, it wasn't. It was when Elvis met the Beatles. Sorry. Yeah, it was. When Elvis met the Beatles.
Okay.
And
there was that famous picture, wasn't there?
Well, that's right.
I showed you that the other week.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, it was absolutely staggering and brilliant because it was all about,
Elvis meeting the Beatles.
Well, it was actually, it was, yeah. But
thank goodness for that.
It was quite historical, and that was brilliant. So what I've done now is I've extended old Porkyvision over into another medium.
Oh, good.
That medium being Steam Radio.
Well, actually, in some ways, two mediums, because now you're talking about
ITV Player. ITV Player, I've cracked that as well.
And, of course, if anyone else out there has done the ITV Player quiz, so I think, don't give the answers away.
I think that's all quite successful, don't you?
This is from Tim the Trucker, who's texted in. He says, listening to Porkyvision is like watching an episode of that programme on the telly where very young kids try to describe something and you have no idea what they're on about.
What? It's a bit harsh. That is a bit harsh.
That was Porkyvision.
I did my best.
Yeah, I know. There'll be another one next week as soon as Porky works out the quiz for the BBC iPlayer. This is Talk Sport.
Sisters, there were never such devoted sisters. Never had to have a chaperone, no sir. I'm there to keep my eye on her. Caring, sharing.
Now, this is rubbish.
Now, don't go on about rubbish. I'll tell you what this is, right?
Yeah, what is it?
This is to celebrate the life, because I'm afraid she's just died, of Britain's first ever football wag.
Really?
Yeah, her name was Joy Beverley.
Oh, one of the Beverley sisters.
She was the eldest sister. She was 91.
Yeah.
She was the eldest sister by
Same age as my mother.
Oh, that's right, absolutely. But Joy Beverley doesn't go around wheeling a wheelchair around to try and get sympathy from airlines to get to the front of the queue.
Yeah.
Now, what I was going to say is that she was 3 years older than her two younger sisters, who were twins.
Right.
They formed the Beverley Sisters, which
What the sisters did, or she did?
What?
Formed the Beverley sisters.
The three of them.
Oh, the three of them.
Three of them.
I thought you meant the twins formed the Beverley sisters.
The twins and their older sister, Joy Beverley, right. And they were the first sort of girl
She was
band.
the most glamorous one of the three, wasn't she?
Not really. I thought she had big teeth and like a long neck. I didn't think she was that glamorous. Joy.
Well, like a horse.
Yeah, well, no, I don't say that because she only just passed away, and you mustn't be pleased. Do not.
No, I think she's very attractive. I've got a picture of her here.
Yeah,
I've just seen in the paper. She was married to Billy Wright.
Well, this is the very point I've just said to you.
She's rather glamorous.
Not only were they Britain's first girl group, girl band, about 50 years ahead of the Spiceys.
Right.
Spice Girls.
Well, the Spiceys.
Yeah, she was also the first ever wag. She married in 1954. I remember that because it was a significant year. It was the year after the Queen was crowned.
Yeah.
Billy Wright.
Yes.
And Billy Wright was
Who
then...
was the England captain then?
England and Wolverhampton Wanderers captain.
Right. Okay.
So he was the real star footballer.
So they were quite a glamorous couple.
Well, when they got married down in Devon, in a little village, they went away to get married quietly and all that.
Yeah.
Somebody locally recognised them, rang up Fleet Street, and it was an old-fashioned chase down to Devon, you know, with the photographers and the reporters and all that. And they besieged this little church when they got married and all that kind of stuff. And
was she from down there originally? Or something,
no, they went to literally get away from it and try and have a quiet wedding, because they used to have people mobbing them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But she's just died, you know, God bless her, rest in peace, all that kind of stuff.
Now, they say in this piece of the paper, she sang in a risque girl band. He was the England captain, only he had no tattoos, and she gave it up to be a housewife. So were they considered to be risque then?
They were considered to be risque because they wear short skirts. And not only that, but they all wore the same clothes, the three of them, because two of them twins and the elder sister.
Yeah.
But perhaps the most interesting aspect of this, and this is why I've highlighted it, is that, believe it or not, in the mid-50s, she was earning £1,000 a week.
Right.
That's equivalent.
An amazing amount of money.
That is equivalent to 50 grand a week in modern money.
Much more. Well, I remember my dad telling me when he first came down from Scotland. He took a job at the, I think it was a Daily Sketch,
right,
where he was making £1,000 a year. Which at that time was quite a lot of money.
Oh,
so she was making £1,000 a week.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm talking about the same kind of time, like 1957, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remarkable.
Right, and not only that, but the contrast is this. He was a professional footballer.
Yeah.
The footballers' wages were still capped, and continued to be capped until 1961, when Jimmy Hill became the head of the PFA, Professional Football Association, and challenged the law in Parliament and got it scrapped. And Johnny Haynes of Fulham became the first £100 a week footballer.
Is that right?
But the cap was £24.
Right.
So while
she was making £1,000 a week.
She was making £1,000 a week.
That's amazing.
And Billy Wright, captain of England and Wolverhampton Wanderers, you know, the most famous footballer in this country, was earning 1/20th of his wife's salary.
And so he was making, what, 25 quid a week?
24 quid a week.
Wow. So he would have had to work for what? How many weeks?
The whole season.
To make as much money as she made in a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. But she gave it up, though, to be a housewife, it says.
She did. She loved Billy Wright.
Well, he must not have been too
that.
keen on that idea, because then suddenly they must not have had as much money as they would have otherwise.
Well, I think the answer to that is, when she said he gave it up, she gave up touring and all that.
Yeah.
But they had a record catalogue which was bringing her royalties and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's an amazing story, really.
I was not aware of that at all.
Yeah,
and I'm sure many other people were.
Yeah.
But they call them the original Posh and Becks, which is quite an interesting story.
That's what I mean. And she was definitely the wag, because she then became, you know, like the sort of role figure for everybody until Sulla Black appeared in 1963.
Right.
How about that?
Yeah, extraordinary stuff.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of tweets to read out to you.
Okay.
A text as well from Lee in South Wales, who's texted into 81089. It's not looking good for the Porky quiz if Porky didn't realise that Stephen Fry was actually in Mexico.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Apparently so.
Well, I did say South America, didn't I?
Mexico's not in South America.
No, it's not, actually. No, it's Central America.
Here's one from Neil. He says, best Porky quiz yet. He passes the test about his own passwords. Stunning.
Well, I do. Everybody forgets their passwords, don't they?
Absolutely right. Now, you were talking a moment ago about the Chinese economy and how it's down to gurgler, effectively, right?
Certainly is.
Now, I don't know if you could cast your eye to one of the internal monitoring screens that we've got here, i.e. the television.
Yeah.
Because as we speak live, we are covering the biggest military parade of all time, which is currently taking place in Beijing, in China, right? Because it's commemorating their victory in World War II over Japan.
Right.
Their president, whose name is Xi Jinping, in his opening speech, paid tribute to the Chinese people who unwaveringly fought hard and defeated aggression from China. Yeah. But, I mean,
Sorry, from Japan, you mean?
From Japan, sorry. 12,000 troops, 200 aircraft, tanks and missiles, all on display, and it's all going on in Tiananmen Square, even as we speak.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can imagine the size...
And your mate, Vladimir Putin, is in attendance.
I should think he would be. You can imagine the size of the military that the Chinese are going to produce in the next 10 years. Yeah. As we run down the British Navy to no more than 22 ships. Yeah. Just think about that, Mike, 22 ships.
I can give you some statistics, right?
More ships than that were in the Falklands invasion force. Yeah, go on.
Well, here's the number of personnel in the Chinese army. Right. 2.3 million, right, personnel. As far as tanks go, they've got 6,540. They've got 1,667 fighter aircraft.
That's incredible.
Of which I think something like 6 are prototypes, right? 69 submarines, 1 aircraft carrier, surprising, 17 destroyers, and 66 intercontinental ballistic missile launchers.
Well, unbelievable.
That's their army. And compared to the US, right, they've got 1 million more people in their army than America has.
Yes, they have, but they haven't got anything like the same equipment. The reason why they've only got 1 aircraft carrier is quite simply...
They've got 4,000 more tanks than the Americans.
Yeah, they have, but Americans don't need tanks.
Not as many fighter aircraft.
Americans don't need tanks, do they? Because what they're going to defend with a tank in America.
Well, yeah, but I mean, all America's been doing is being in other countries where they've needed a lot of tanks.
Well, yeah, but tanks are obsolete now.
Armoured vehicles.
Yeah, tanks are completely obsolete.
That kind of thing.
Do you know, in the British Navy now, we've literally got about, let me get this right, 10 times as many captains as we have ships.
Is that right?
Yeah. And
so what are they captain of then?
Exactly. And something like 5 times as many Commodores as we've got ships.
Yeah.
And
I used to like them, the Commodores.
Yeah, and something like about, 3 times as many admirals as we've got ships.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, one admiral used to control 20 ships.
Yeah.
We've now got,
My point to you, though, is if China is in such a parlous state as far as their economy goes, then it doesn't look that way from what we're seeing in their military might, which is currently being played out.
It's all relative. China's not in a state. China's growth has cut back, not its wealth.
Well, it says here, there's a report here from somebody who's there.
Yeah.
China's victory parade is designed to be a grandiose demonstration of the country's military prowess.
Yes.
But it's also a useful opportunity for the Chinese military to showcase its wares, because apparently, a few months ago, it surpassed Germany to become the world's 3rd largest arms supplier.
Well, the second largest arms suppliers in the world...
It's probably the UK, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and the first is America.
Yeah. Well, Germany used to be 3rd, and now it's China.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me at all. They'll probably overtake us. Excuse me. Talking about that part of the world, by the way, right? Oh, and by the way, can you ever imagine that Japan would invade China?
No.
I mean, today, it's like the Isle of Wight invading Great Britain, isn't it? You see what I mean?
Exactly
But in those days, Japan
was a far more kind of
sophisticated,
so more
advanced. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very bitter war. They hated each other terribly, and they used to go around knifing each other's babies with bayonets. Oh, it was horrible things.
Why do you know all these horrible facts?
Well, because, I'm a student of history. Yeah. But listen, we were talking about Ho Chi Minh the other night,
Yeah, we were.
Because
his connection to New Haven.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was a steward on the New Haven to Dieppe ferry. Or
possibly a pastry chef.
Or a pastry chef, yeah. But anyway, listen, I did some research on Vietnam.
Oh, yeah.
Guess what? The declaration by Ho Chi Minh to consolidate the country of North Vietnam...
and South Vietnam?
No, because he started in North Vietnam.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The whole idea of the Vietnam War was...
Well, the Viet Cong were in North Vietnam.
Exactly, and they wanted to invade South Vietnam and all that kind of stuff, right? And believe it or not, we were talking about Ho Chi Minh the other day.
Yeah.
Well, the anniversary of his death was yesterday. How about that? Isn't that amazing?
Well, you didn't know that when you were talking... Because we only talked about it yesterday.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
I thought that's why you were talking about it.
No, I was talking about it because I was talking... Oh, yes, I was, actually. That's right, yeah, you're right.
It was the anniversary of his death.
That's right.
I thought that was what made it newsworthy.
Yeah. Now, did you know that Vietnam is the world's leading exporter of cashew nuts?
What?
It's the world's leading exporter of cashew nuts.
Cashew nuts? Do you mean cashew nuts?
That's what I've just said.
You said cashew nuts.
Yeah, well, what's your problem? What is wrong with you?
It's not cashew nuts.
Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Cashew nuts.
Now, let me tell you...
What, North Vietnam or South Vietnam?
Eh?
North Vietnam or South Vietnam?
Well, the whole of Vietnam.
All of it?
No, there's only one Vietnam now. There's no North Vietnam or South Vietnam.
It's all one country.
Well, why do you think all those helicopters flew off the top of the American embassy in
Saigon?
Saigon,
which is now called Ho Chi Minh City.
Which is now Ho Chi Minh City. It's because North Vietnam conquered South Vietnam. So there's only one Vietnam now.
Right, okay.
Although, actually, we don't regard it as a sort of rogue communist state like we do North Korea, do we?
No.
Because lots of people go there on holiday.
Well, it's a massive tourist destination.
It is, yeah.
Particularly for backpackers.
It's true.
Yeah.
Now then, here, let me tell you this. A Vietnamese speciality is Rue Ran.
What?
Rue Ran.
Rue Ran.
And it's a wine made of rice.
Yeah.
But guess what?
Rice wine.
Yeah, rice wine. It's a wine made rice wine. It's made at Rue Ran, and can I just not tell you anything without you exploding into...
I'm sure that's not the right pronunciation.
Childish
Given
laughter.
that you can't pronounce cashew nuts.
Now, what they do is, to make this very potent, this Rouran, they put a pickled snake in the bottom of every bottle.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a bit like that tequila that you could buy with a worm in it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that what they do?
Yeah, they do.
God, fancy drinking something with a worm
Well,
in it.
yeah, but you're not... Well, I mean, yeah, but spirit is a preserving agent, isn't it? I mean, if you put something in... For example, we used to do this with seahorses. We used to collect seahorses in the Mediterranean, and you put them in a little jar of alcohol and bring them home. And then they're preserved perfectly, almost like fossils.
Hang on, are the seahorses alive when you capture them?
No, I don't think they were alive. They couldn't have been alive. You wouldn't put them in alcohol if they were alive, would you?
No. So would you? What? You pick up the dead bodies of all these seahorses?
I don't know where we found them, but all I know is that we would have like starfish and seahorses that we were preserved in alcohol.
Yeah. Anyway, listen. This last amazing fact about Vietnam.
Yeah.
This is great. 38% of Vietnamese people.
Yeah.
Have all got the same surname. No. And do you know what it is?
Well, no idea.
Nguyen.
Nguyen.
No.
Is it N-Y-U-G-E-N?
N-G-U-Y-E-n.
Yeah.
Nguyen.
Nguyen, I think it is.
Nguyen.
Yeah.
And so... And it's it's pronounced win, I'm told. But anyway,
or in your case, lose.
Imagine having a country where nearly half the people have all got the same name. So imagine, hi Fred, how are you? I'm all right, Fred. Yeah, here, our Fred's coming in. Where are we going now? Let's go and see Fred next door. I mean, it's a bit weird, isn't it, having a country like that? You know what I mean? Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the two mics.